Welcome to the Backstory Room. Today I'm here with Brian Wortman. Appreciate you being here, man.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
Appreciate it. So I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was the summer of 2022. You had a little pop-up at the Provo Farmers Market.
Correct.
For the holsters.
Yeah.
And I needed a holster at the time. I had one, but I didn't love it. And yours were amazing.
Well, I appreciate that.
So yeah, that's the first time we saw each other. And
yeah, I remember that. We actually did the farmers market, which isn't normal for firearm types booths, but we decided to do that to see how it would be and what we needed to change and everything before we did like a hunt expo or something like that. So it's kind of like a little crash course.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But yeah, and I got to see your garage setup before you got the shop now. And man, it's been awesome to see you grow over the years and see the business grow and everything. And we're gonna get into it, but I'm so happy here, man.
Awesome and scary at the same time.
Yeah. So a little intro. You're a veteran, served in the Marines, went into law enforcement, SWAT sniper. Now you're a business owner.
Correct.
All right, brother.
Yep.
I'm excited. Let's get into this. So start off with a couple easy questions and then we'll move into the good stuff.
Okay.
All right, brother. Who is your favorite child? I'm just playing. He's like, oh crap. So, I'm just totally playing.
Yeah. Well, let's not answer that. So it's a tie.
Good
it's
answer.
A tie.
Nah. Your favorite snack or candy?
Oh man, my weakness is probably Reese cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I know my wife has done something or needs to go somewhere. I got you these while I was at the store. I'm like, all right, why'd you get me these?
They have so many breakoffs now, like Reese's, like In-N-Outs, the white chocolate, like all sorts of stuff. Pretzels.
Yep. So
just the original?
Yeah, just the original.
There we go.
Yeah.
Favorite sport to watch?
So probably, I don't watch too much. I've just recently got into watching the football.
Yeah.
I've been cheering for the Cincinnati Bengals. So,
but you're not from,
No, not from there. So, so I kind of got away from watching sports when they were doing the kneeling stuff.
Yeah.
I just felt like it wasn't really a place to do it. My own opinion, obviously.
I think a lot of people were the same way.
Yeah. And then when of course, a couple years goes by and I have friends like, oh man, you should watch this game, watch that game. And I just Googled which team didn't kneel and Cincinnati Bengals popped up. So I'm like, hey, that's who I'll root for. So
there we go.
I guess the owner said, you're paid to play a sport and not be political. So
yeah, makes sense.
So since then, no, it's not like if we're somewhere, I'm like, I got to get home for the game. But if I'm home and nothing to do, and it's on, I'll watch it. Yeah.
Okay, dude. All right. If you could only hunt one animal for the rest of your life, what would you pick?
Dude, that's not an easy question.
No, it's
not. So, my number one bucket list animal is a Alaska caribou.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll ever happen because obviously I'm not getting any younger, and that's not an easy hunt. I love chasing elk and mule deer and stuff too, though.
Yeah.
And then I recently got to go on an axis deer hunt, which is my number 2 bucket list animal. So that one was
that off.
Pretty hard to beat, though. Yeah, I would do that again tomorrow. Yeah.
So. The last person I was on was a hunting guide, and he said the exact same thing. His dream bucket is going to be an Alaskan caribou.
Hey, so, maybe
we'll connect you.
Yeah, and you could go with us.
We'll do a 3-way.
Yeah.
All right, man. Last question. What is your everyday carry?
So I would say everyday carry is the new Shield X.
Okay.
I really like that.
The Smith & Wesson.
Yep, Smith & Wesson Shield X. Some days I carry my 1911. 1911 is
classic.
It's one of those pistols that I just love.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would say Shield X is my everyday carry. Unless I'm in hiking or in the back, the backwoods, then Smith & Wesson again, but I carry their M2.0 10 mil 4-inch.
Heck yeah, man.
So
anything else?
Pocket knife and flashlight.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is, man.
So,
all right, brother. Well, nowadays, what does present day look like for you?
Busy.
Yeah.
Obviously we're coming into, it's getting warm out. People are starting to get outside and hike. And, if here in Utah tags have been hit, which show off over here decides to draw one this year.
Just so happened.
Yeah. So, so people are getting out and they're wanting to start carrying, they're in the backwoods, they're riding side by sides, whatever.
Yeah.
So ours is, it's starting to pick up, and then closer to hunting it gets is when we start getting into, I need it yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
So we're still chugging along and staying busy.
That's awesome, man. And we're going to get into everything. So let's start at the beginning. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So originally from a small town in Virginia, Stevens City, Virginia, which is Northern Virginia, about an hour outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So born and raised there.
Okay. And what was childhood like for you?
My parents, they were together. It was me and my sister. We did a lot of outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
I remember, my dad was big into hunting growing up, and I was just a little guy, and I'd go with him. And then when I started getting bigger, I'd pack around a little 22 or something. And we'd go out squirrel hunting and everything until I got old enough to where I could shoot a larger caliber rifle, but anything outdoors.
Yeah.
I was always out either on a dirt bike or a four wheeler or something.
Yeah.
So
just till the sun went down.
Yep.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And just public school.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's how they used to ground me.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to go outside, whereas
That was the
nowadays
punishment.
it's no video games.
Yeah.
For me, it was your butt staying inside,
And that was even worse.
That was way worse. Yes.
Okay. It sounds like your parents were pretty involved.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my dad does excavation, heavy equipment operator for family business.
Mm-hmm.
My mom worked for the school system as a school bus driver. So,
okay.
So, and that's a funny story how she started that, because she was a stay-at-home mom, and my sister started kindergarten and was afraid to go to school, and we lived a ways from the school, so the bus ride was a little bit, and so they every day I'd come home, my shirt collar would be all ripped, like torn and stuff. My mom was thinking I was fighting, at the time I was in second, third grade, and come to find out it was from her. So then my mom found out that my sister was that upset, not wanting to go to class and everything. So mom ended up getting a job as a bus driver. She was going to just for one school year, and then thinking my sister would grow out of it. And then she just loved being around kids and doing it. So she ended up retiring from it. So
dang.
Yeah, so it started off as basically keep my sister from tearing my clothes when I got to school. So if you're watching this, Julie, love you.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah. So.
And she did it till retirement.
Yeah, my mom did. Yep.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she ended up loving it, and it was, if we were in school, she was working. If we were off school, she wasn't working. So it worked good with our schedule. So.
Nice. And so you squirrel hunt when you were younger, but do you remember your first successful hunt when you were hunting like deer or anything like that?
Yes. So my first one, it was like my parents had the whatever that, the first animal I got, they were going to get mounted.
Okay.
And my first deer, it was a whitetail, obviously. That's what we have in Virginia. It was a little spike. Mm-hmm. And my mom was going to mount it. And my dad was like, "You're not mounting the spike." And she's like, "But it's his first one." And Dad's like, "We're not wasting money on." And it was a little one too. It was just a little guy. So they ended up doing a European mount on it, which is still in my bedroom.
Oh, you still have
it? At my dad's house where I grew up, and so it's still in that room. So it's funny to look at, like, man, that was so many years ago, but just, I'm sure you remember your first.
Yep.
And
sure do.
It's just something that sticks with you forever. So.
Yeah, the first one's always like ingrained.
Yeah, exactly. It's with a 30-30.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Dang. Winchester Model 94.
Was it lever action?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Cowboy.
Still have the gun to this day.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah, love it. Can't really use it in Utah too much, but it's still fun to have and take to the range every now and then. So.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So then after high school, what's next?
So after high school, went into the Marine Corps.
Okay. Did you know you were going to go in the Marines? So
it was a toss-up between going in the Marine Corps and being a diesel mechanic.
Oh, wow.
Just family business. It would have worked out good for everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
My parents wanted me to go the diesel mechanic route, and I did because I loved working on motors and, tinkering around with whatever. but also wanted to go in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And so unfortunately, my senior year, my grandpa passed away. He was in the Marine Corps. He got out of the Marine Corps and went in the Army, was a POW, Purple Heart. And I remember his burial at Arlington National Cemetery. He was, the Marine Corps actually did the burial. And I remember just seeing them like in their dress blues and all. And, I was a high school kid on the fence and seeing that. And that's what kind of like, you're going in, this is what you want to do. I want to be that guy, and just seeing their 21 gun salute and, them doing the full burial service is just amazing to me. So that's
how old were you when this happened?
Was I probably 16, 17?
High school.
Senior, yeah.
Okay.
Early senior in high school. So
that had a big impact on you.
Oh, 1000%. Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's probably the whole reason why I went in the Marine Corps.
Really?
Or, I mean, obviously there's other reasons, but that was probably the biggest deciding factor.
Were you pretty close with your grandfather?
Yeah. 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 And he, just the way he carried himself and, he didn't tell too many stories, and he was a POW for 8 months and he didn't really tell any stories. And I don't know, part of me was, hey, if I go in the Marine Corps, maybe he'll open up to me. But, that obviously never happened. But just seeing that, and then I have other relatives that were in the Marine Corps too.
Okay.
Just seeing them, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to go in the Marine Corps.
Okay. So what's the process like to actually like enlist? You go to like the office, but what actually happens?
Yeah, so you go to a recruiter. Once you decide what branch you want to go into, you go see a recruiter. And then honestly, I don't remember all the steps. I know that, they give you some test and written test, and then you got to do physical test and all this stuff. And then they give you kind of a dream sheet on what you want to go in the military as. And then based off your scores is you don't have a chance in this, or this you can go into.
That's the ASVAB.
Yeah, ASVAB. And then you go to boot camp, and after that, it just go where they tell you.
Yeah. What were your couple top picks for jobs in the Marines?
So I wanted to do something with weapons.
Okay. Like combat or?
Like either, infantry or machine gunner or something with, firearms. I had no desire to do like the tanks or be a truck driver or, any of the other stuff. I don't know. I think it was just because growing up, I was always around them and I loved them. So
yeah. Okay. And then what's basic like? Basic training?
The first 2 weeks is nothing but regrets. Why did I come here? And probably a little bit longer than that actually, but especially the first probably 48 hours, you're like, what did I do? Like, why did I do this? But it definitely, they break you down and build you back up. And, it's definitely like, I've always loved a challenge. Part of the reason why I want to do the caribou hunt in Alaska is just, it's something that there's no easy way out. Like, you're not going to go to Alaska and do an easy caribou hunt. At least I don't think. At least I haven't found that, and it's just kind of a test. And same way with boot camp, it's just daily test or hourly test or minute test, and it just tests your heart, everything, physical ability.
Okay. And what year did you join up?
So I did it. I was supposed to leave, like I was supposed to graduate high school and then leave a couple days later, but during senior year, I ended up getting a ruptured appendix and had to have surgery. So that kind of, they obviously cut my abdomen and stuff. So I couldn't do any sit-ups or anything for a while. So I didn't actually leave until the end of September of 98.
Okay.
And then I graduated in January, I think it was, right after Christmas and all that. So
okay. So you heal up and then you go in.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Once I could do the minimum sit-ups and doctor cleared me and all that stuff. So yeah.
When you could endure the torture.
Right. So I got to be there for all the holidays.
Yeah.
And Marine Corps boot camp is definitely a different way to spend Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, and New Year's Eve. So it's definitely fun. So
yeah. Were your family pretty like supportive of you going in?
Yeah. So they definitely were not against it.
Okay.
Of course, your mom, my mom was very sad, not sad, but like just worried, I guess, like, he's going in the military. He could, whatever. It's a lot more dangerous than being a diesel mechanic, I guess, but So they were sad, but they were extremely proud too, if that makes any sense at all. So
no, that makes sense. Okay. So you finished up boot camp, and then where do you go after that?
So after boot camp, I went to Paris Island, which is in South Carolina.
East Coast.
Yep, East Coast Marine. And then from there, I went home for, I think it was like eight or 10 days. And then from there, went to North Carolina for School of Infantry training, which is just like a crash course on infantry training, I guess.
Firearms and marching and stuff.
Yeah, firearms. Just training, bunch of different tests and all that before you go to your actual unit. Okay. So a lot of the people I went to boot camp with were there with me, and along with other platoons that graduated. Yeah. So
okay. And then what do you think of that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the first time, like, boot camp, you don't have to think. Like they do all the thinking for you. Like you don't have to wonder like where do we go? What do we do? You definitely know what you're doing. So, so when you get there, it's a little bit more laid back, where you actually feel like a Marine, I guess. You feel like a individual, not an individual, but you kind of, you have a
little bit of thinking for yourself.
Yeah, and you have like almost a work schedule, like you have weekends off and stuff. So nice. Whereas at boot camp, it's 7 days a week. So.
And you had a unit at that time then?
No, well, I mean, you have like at boot camp, you have a platoon. There you have a platoon too. Okay. You're not in an actual unit, I guess, yet.
Okay. And then afterwards, you get
after graduation there. Then I had, I think, another 10 days off, because I got stationed in 29 Palms, California. So I had 10 days to get to California.
Oh, you drove yourself?
No, no, because I didn't have anything, because I was out of high school. So, I mean, I had clothes and that was it. Yeah. It wasn't like I had furniture. I didn't have anything to move. So I flew there. And then, I don't know, a couple months later, my parents had shipped my vehicle out there. So I had a car.
Nice. So. Okay. And then how long were you in California before your first deployment?
So I was in 29 Palms, California. So I was there probably, there every 18 months you go on a deployment, a 6-month deployment. So when I got there, my unit had recently come back. So I was in 29 Palms for maybe 8 months, 9 months before we deployed to Okinawa.
Okay.
And
what unit were you in Japan?
I was with 1-7. In 29 Palms. Then when you go to Japan, you're still 1-7. Okay. So.
And what were you doing for what was the mission or what was your job over there?
So when you're in Okinawa, it's just training. Okay. Occupying the military bases there. So I mean, it's obviously going in 29 Palms. It's all desert training. In Okinawa, it's more jungle training and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So.
And then what year is this when you're in Okinawa?
Honestly, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So it was probably 2000 into 99, 2000.
Okay. And then after this first deployment, you come back.
Yep. Come back and you're back in the States for 18 months.
And there's nothing really going on worldwide, yeah, at the time?
No, not at the time.
Okay.
That was during it was after Desert Storm and before 9/11, obviously. Yeah. So.
And then where were you for 9/11?
So I was actually at Sergeant's school.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So when you get promoted, like in the Marine Corps, when you get promoted to like corporal E4, you go to they have Corporal's Academy, and then when you get promoted to sergeant, which is E5, you go to sergeant's school. So I was actually at that. We were supposed to graduate. I think like that following Friday during 9/11. So.
Yeah. And what were your thoughts? Did you see it happen? And
yeah, so we were just practice. I think we were actually doing graduation practice.
Oh, really?
And so they told us to go back inside and turn on the news.
Yeah.
And just crazy, yeah. We have it so good here that you think, oh, that'll never happen to us, and
yeah.
That was definitely an eye opener, I think, for a lot of people.
Did you think things were going to big changes were going to happen then?
Yeah, I think just like everybody, I mean, you kind of know that the United States is going to be going to war once they figure it out. 'Cause it wasn't like just some bored guy that did it. You know, it's obviously something bigger than that.
Yeah.
Especially for everything that happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a couple guys that are like, hey, let's do this, you know? So
when that happened, were you like, what was your position then? Like, were you a gunner or were you like?
no, so at the time I was a squad leader, but I
Okay.
had just re-enlisted.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually, I had orders to Parris Island. So I was going back to Parris Island to be a rifle range coach.
Oh, okay.
So I was a squad leader at the time when that happened, though.
Did you want to go over there?
In a way, you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you train so much. And I mean, it's just like if you're on a baseball team, you know, you practice, practice, practice. And it's like, when's our game? You know? And so it's kind of the same idea. You know, it obviously scared, but like it's time to all this training to be real, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but you never went?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then what was training like when you were East Coast? When you re-enlisted?
So I re-enlisted. I was actually in between 29 Palms and Parris Island when they issued the stop loss in the military.
The what?
The stop loss, which is nobody can retire, nobody can get out. Nobody can transfer.
They wanted everyone in.
Yeah, so I was in between, and I'm like, well, what do I do? Do I go back to my other unit, my old unit? Do I go to the new one? So I called my old platoon sergeant, and he was like, no, you're already with that unit. So I kept going, and then arrived there at Parris Island, and then, you know, I had I think it was 10 days to get there. We drove across country at the time because I had a U-Haul, and, you know, now I had furniture and everything. And so we found a house, and then.
Were you married?
I was at the time.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. So when I got to California, I guess I watched Baywatch too much as a kid, and I'm like, oh my gosh, California, you know, and so I ended up marrying a girl that was in California.
Okay. Just met at a bar?
No, it was actually my roommate's, one of my roommate's girlfriend's best friend, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So it was one of those deals, and we got married too early. Like we were both young, and but she lived a ways away, and you know, and when there's a long distance thing, like you kind of overlook little things because you're like, I don't want to, you know, when we do see each other, I don't want to be arguing or whatever. And so I think that we just rushed into it way too fast.
Makes sense.
So we ended up got divorced when I was working at Parris Island.
Oh, okay.
So, and she went home to California.
Hey, was it hard?
Obviously, yeah. Luckily, we didn't have any kids.
That is nice.
But yeah, you know, it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
You know, because I was brought up where you don't get divorced, you get counseling, you get, you know, my parents
work it out.
Yeah, my parents were together until my mom passed away, you know, and they were high school sweethearts. And yeah, so you just don't get divorced, you know, but under the circumstances, like I didn't have a choice but to file for divorce. So.
Yeah. And I guess it's nice that you were still in the military. You still had that brotherhood to fall back on. It's not like drowning in your sorrows or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So in the divorce, I got our house and stuff, and it actually worked out. I hate to say good, but one of my really good friends was going through a divorce. He was about a month ahead of me. And so he ended up moving in with me because I'm like, I don't know if I can afford my mortgage, you know? And so he ended up moving in with me because he didn't have nowhere to go. He didn't want to move back in the barracks. So he ended up paying half the mortgage, half the bills, nice. You know? And so it was good.
Worked out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I say. It wasn't, it's not a good thing, but it kind of was, you know?
Okay.
So.
And then after all this, you go back to South Carolina and you're a range coach.
Yep. So I was when you go there to the rifle range course to be a coach, which is teaching recruits how to shoot, you're just an entry-level coach. You just work at the range. And then I wanted to be a PMI, which stands for Primary Marksmanship Instructor. So you're the one that gets the actual platoon of recruits, and you have a week of classes, teach them about that, the rifle range, the rifle, everything about it. And then you have them the following week and you take them to the range. And then, so basically every 2 weeks you get a new platoon. So that was the goal. So I ended up trying out for that when they had opening, and got picked to do it.
What's that trial like? Like just qualification stuff, or?
Yeah, obviously you got to be a good shot. Like you can't, you know, there's some people that can't shoot worth a darn, but yet they can teach it really good, you know? So they run you through the rifle range, and they, you know, your scores. They look at your record, and then they give you kind of a class, and you got to present the class to the, the other sergeants or whatever, and then they kind of pick on who has the best ability to be a PMI. And then once you do that, then you go to a school to become a real PMI, where they teach you all the classes, and then you teach all the classes, and they show you what to do if a recruit's shooting like this or shooting like that, or just how to fix positions and all that kind of stuff.
Dang. So it's kind of like you at least had to be a okay shot, a good communicator, but then they'll teach you the rest.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it was fun, and I did that for a little while, and then they had an opening for the Paris Island shooting team. And I decided to try out for that and ended up making it. So for, I think it was like 9 months, I just traveled and competed in shooting tournaments and all that.
That's awesome.
Oh, it was so cool.
I'm sure that qualification was much harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everybody tries out, because it's like, that's your dream job,
Yeah.
and you get paid while you're spending, shooting ammo that's not yours.
Yes.
Like on rifles and pistols that aren't yours. So it was nice.
Is it all sorts like speed and distance or points?
Distance and speed.
Okay.
And then obviously, you got to be accurate. It's not, hey, he got off 50 rounds, but he didn't hit nothing, but he won, so.
Is it like 2-gun stuff too as well? Or
So we actually, it's basically, at the time was an M16A2, which was a service rifle, but of course it was done up a little bit. And then we shot 45, 9mm, and 22 pistols. So you competed with the rifle and then competed with the pistols too.
Hey. Did you guys have red dots or iron sights? Or
no, that was old school. That was, 20 some years ago.
Yeah. I'm sure
that was before red dots even were invented, I think. So,
do you still do iron sights?
No.
Okay.
No, I have a couple pistols that are still iron sights. Mm-hmm. But once you learn red dot, I use green dot.
Oh, do
but once you get used to that, it's nice. They're pretty nice. Yeah. It's like cruise control on a long road trip,
Obviously for my AR, I'm like, easy red dot all day.
Yeah.
I'm still iron sights on my pistol.
Yeah.
And I know people that like just way better than me with a red dot. And I'm like, it makes sense if I'd spent the time. But
and with what I do now, we run into a lot of people, and when people call to order, I'll say, "Oh, do you have a red dot?" Nope, I refuse to, and it's like, okay. Like I don't want my life to depend on a battery. And I'm like, he's got a point,
Totally.
But all mine, they do co-witness. So if for some reason the red dot does go out, I can still use my iron sights.
Yeah.
So,
and man, those red dots nowadays last for like 900 hours, some crazy amount.
It's like a couple years.
Yeah.
But my wife has red dots on all hers. And so every year at Christmas, we've just made it a habit to where we replace all the batteries in the red dots. They're not out, but it's
just to be safe.
Yeah. They're like $2 or something, for a pack of 4 or so.
Man, that's awesome. All right, so got divorced, unfortunately.
Right.
Yep. Or fortunately.
No, that definitely unfortunate.
And then you're back Paris Island. You're training on the range, your coach, and then you make this shooting team, you're traveling, and then how long are you doing that for? What happens after that?
So on the shooting team was like, I can't remember. I think it was like 9 months, maybe 10 months.
Okay.
And you compete against other military, other bases. They all have shooting teams. So you compete against that. And then we did some NRA matches. And so then, once I was done with that, then I went back to Paris Island, and I think it was like a year I worked, year and a half, and then I got out of the Marine Corps.
Oh, would you say like 7 or 8 years? Yeah, you were in?
I was in 8 years.
8 years?
Yep. And honorably discharged, so...
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I have a bunch of buddies and like family that's been in the military.
Yeah.
When you get out, they do like a final like medical exam on you.
Yes.
Can you say no to that? Or do most people say no because they're like trying to be like, I'm fine? Or
honestly, I don't know. Yeah.
Because I've heard some stories where it's like, I wish I did it so I could get some sort of disability or something like.
Yeah. So like me, for example, I went through it's called winter survival training.
Okay.
Which is in Bridgeport, California. Got severe frostbite, like on my nose, pretty much anything that was open to the air, which California cold winter training doesn't make much sense. And that's the same thing I thought. And we got there and there's like 6 feet of snow and below zero. And it was completely different side of California than what you think.
Yeah.
But so I ended up getting really bad frostbite. A couple other of us, I think there was 10 of us that were in this winter survival thing. A couple of them actually had to get skin grafts and everything else. So But still to this day, like my nose and fingertips, they get really cold really fast. And yeah, but when I got out, I'm like, no, I'm good, and, but there's a lot of people that, they say, oh, I'm good. That way they don't, like me, I think, you know, the, when you get medically discharged or when you get, benefits like that, or I don't know, like for me, I got frostbite. Okay. So my nose gets cold, like I don't feel like I should get some type of disability for that when there's other people that are far worse than that,
Oh yeah.
and, you just hear like the kind of the headache with veterans and the VA and all that. So it's like my frostbite, like I'll wear a balaclava or something,
Yeah.
like it's not life threatening, I guess. So
Okay.
but,
That's always something I was wondering.
yeah, yeah.
Dang, so 8 years, and then what happens when you get out? Do you stay in South Carolina or?
So I ended up getting out. My neighbor owned an electrical business, and at the time I was like, I've done enough. I've seen enough.
Mhm.
Like it's time for me to change careers, and I liked South Carolina. Um, so I ended up using my GI Bill and went to school for heating and air conditioning.
Oh, okay.
And
Where'd you go to school for? Where?
uh, don't laugh because everybody laughs, but it's called Technical College of the Low Country in South
Yes.
Carolina. So a lot of people are like, "Is that real?" Like it is, but um, so yeah, I ended up going there for heating and air conditioning, and while I worked for him as an electrician during the day, and then that was when I don't know, I was about 6 months from graduating, maybe a little bit longer, and that's when the economy crashed.
Oh,
And
2008.
yeah, so I was like, well, I
Dang.
might as well like continue. Like I've gone this far, and and being an electrician, we went from like picking and choosing work to what are we doing this afternoon, and so I ended up going and graduating and getting my degree or whatever. So yeah, I'm actually licensed to do residential and commercial, but I've never touched it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
That is.
I've never, because when I graduated, nobody was hiring, and I,
Yeah.
I didn't have any on-job training, and um, so it was kind of rough. So I stayed doing the electrical stuff for a little while, and I was book smart, so
Yeah.
to speak. And still to this day, my dad will call like, "Hey, my air conditioner's doing
And
this."
you're like,
I don't know. Call the air conditioner guy. Like,
"Oh,
didn't you
dang."
go to school for that? Yeah, but I know nothing about it.
That is hilarious.
So
I have a mechanical engineering degree.
yeah,
I've never used it.
yeah. So you
So
know what I'm
I
talking
do.
about. Then
Unfortunately, it's the worst.
yeah, it's like you almost don't want to show people, because
Exactly.
they're like, "Oh, you
I,
must do that for a living." Nope.
I almost don't tell people anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So why don't you do it, or why did you choose not to?
So I
Or
tried.
yeah,
I graduated from BYU with engineering degree, and then for the first like 6 months, I was looking for work. The interview processes for engineering jobs are intense. They're
yeah.
like 6, 7, 8 rounds.
Oh wow.
So I had a couple local and also in Florida and places where it's like, yeah, you made it to the last part or the second to last part, but someone else
Yeah.
had more experience, had a family member that works there. I'm like,
Right.
can't compete that way. So
Yeah.
I just needed something else. So I just found a quick job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked out for you.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
Now we're doing this.
Now we're doing this.
Dang. So then you didn't find work after that, or did when 2008 happened?
Well, I was an electrician for as long as I could
Yeah.
until he was like, "Hey, I think like I can't afford to keep employees anymore." And
Oh, dang.
um
So it was really bad.
yeah, so I ended up um selling my house and everything and moving home to Virginia, because by now it had been a couple years, and ended up moving home to Virginia and taking on a plastic welding and fabrication job, which
Oh,
is what ultimately brought me to Utah.
were you
So
married already by that time again?
nope, nope.
Okay.
So
Where'd you meet your wife at? Your current
um
wife?
so when I was doing the underground plastic welding stuff, we traveled a ton. And so I was going out to outside of Las Vegas for work. Um I'd go there for a week or two and then go home. And when I say we traveled a lot, the last year I had that job before we moved out here full time, I had traveled 300 days that year. So I mean that gives you an idea. Like I lived at airports. So I did that for quite a few years, and I'd met my wife the day she actually lived in Arizona, outside of Vegas. Um, we were doing so much work out there that the owner of the company, I talked to him like, "Hey, we got to do something." Like I'm landing at home thinking, "Hey, I'm going to be home for a couple days," to a voicemail and going right back to the ticket counter and flying wherever. And so he basically I don't know if he trusted me or was just dumb, but he kind of gave me a blank checkbook to open up it was a plastic welding company. We opened one up in Arizona because we were doing so much out there. Um, so pretty much the day that I got there, I met my now wife. So
how did that happen?
So obviously I get there and I have nothing. I drove across country. So I mean I didn't bring any groceries or anything. So I'm at Walmart and I got like 2 shopping carts of, or not Walmart, but the local grocery store, and I've got 2 shopping carts of, everything. And I got up to the register and I still say yes, thank you, no, please, And so the lady was ringing me up. It was an older lady, and I was like, "Thank you, ma'am," and she was like, "You're seem like a nice young man." I'm like, "Oh, thank you, ma'am," and "Where are you from?" Because at the time my accent was pretty strong, and um, so I told her, and she was like, "Well, you're probably married," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." And she was like, "Well, my friend's daughter is single," and I'm like, "Okay, like." I don't know where this is going, but all right,
First day
So I'm
there.
like, "Thank you," so I take my groceries and go. Well, then the next day I had to go back for something, and she was there again. And she was like, "Did you come back to get my friend's daughter's number?" And I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, whatever, I'm 100% single, so why not?
Yeah.
I knew nobody there. And so, yeah, that's how I met my wife. I ended up Facebook stalking her first. I'm like, I don't even know if this is. So I ended up Facebook stalking her, and then I just shot her a message and, "Hey, this lady told me that I should meet you." And she's like, "Who are you?" Like, and she was like, "Yeah, she told me that I should meet you, but I don't even know who you are." I'm like, "I don't know who you are." And then, "What school did you go to?" I'm like, "I promise you don't know," And
Yeah.
so we ended up just meeting one day for lunch or something. And the rest is history, I guess.
That's awesome.
So
I'm sure she tells it way different.
yeah, yeah. No, actually, she'll tell you the same thing. But yeah, it's just we look back and laugh,
Yeah.
because people ask us, "How'd you two meet?" And it's like, well, a
Yeah.
lady at a grocery store introduced us,
Dang.
So
Playing
kind of a cool
Cupid.
story. Yeah, cool
Yeah.
story.
That's
So
cool. So I want to go back a second.
mhm.
It's kind of crazy to me that you're working at this plastic welding company
Yep.
and they give you a blank check to open up a new company, a new office in a
Yeah.
different state.
Yeah. So
That's wild.
yeah. So I'd been working there for a couple years at the
Yeah.
time, probably 3 or 4 years. I'd worked up to shop foreman or whatever. And then I was in charge of the traveling guys. So we had some guys that didn't travel, they just stayed there and fabricated stuff. And then I was in charge of the crews that went out to install it or do the field work. Um, and I just talked to him and like, I can't travel no more. Like I'm over this. Like
Mm.
I have a house that my parents have to mow the yard. My parents have to like I'm never there,
Yeah.
and um I didn't want to quit because I like the job, but it's like at some point you gotta like gotta change pace. And I just told him what I was thinking, and what I felt. And he was like, "Well, what's your solution? Because you gotta have a solution." And so I was like, "Why don't we open up one in Arizona?" And because one of our major pipe manufacturers was in Arizona too. And I said, "Why don't we open up one by them?" And he was like, "Well, maybe." So I had to fly out there, and he flew with me that time. And we just kind of looked at buildings, and he was like, "What do you think of this one?" And I'm like, "Well, that would work." I'm like, "What are you thinking?" And he's like, "I'm thinking I believe in you." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what that means, And he was like, "I'm going to give you 1 year, sink or swim." And he was like, "At the end of the year, if we're sinking, you need to find another job."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was like, "But if we're swimming," he was like, "it'll be the best year you ever had. Take it or leave it." And I'm like, "I'll take it. What do I got to lose?"
Yeah.
I wasn't married. I was, so we ended up
Dang. And it worked out.
yeah, it worked out really good. So I was there for about a year and a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back to him again. He flew out a couple times that year to check in, but at the beginning I was like, "Oh my," because I had to buy forklifts and all this stuff. And I'm like, "Hey, so I need this much money." He's like, "For what?" "I need a forklift." Like, so he's like, "You better be doing good." And
Yeah.
but
Because they're not cheap, like tens of thousands, hundreds of
yeah,
thousands. I don't know.
yeah, and I'd found used ones, and there was
Yeah.
still a lot. And so after like a year and a couple months, I had to go back to him like, "Hey, because we did good that year,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I swam." And so I had to go back to him, and I'm like, "Hey, so I think we can do even better if we move to Utah." And he's like, "Why? Why Utah?" And I'm like, "They have another plant there, and we're doing a lot in Idaho, Wyoming, up this way." So um he was like, "You're killing me." And I'm like, "Am I though?" And he's like, "I'll fly out and we'll go look." So then he flew out to Arizona and we drove up to Ogden, and we had a plant up there for several years and did really good. And then we ended up losing a really big contract. And so we ended up, he wanted me to move back to Virginia, but I was done with moving. And, you know, now I'm married and, you know, I got 2 stepdaughters that are pretty much my kids. And
were they young?
yeah. So when me and my wife started dating, we dated for probably 4 or 5 months before she even let me meet the kids, which at the time I thought was weird, but looking back now, I'm like, hey, she was just a protective mom, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I finally met them, they were 4 and 6. And yeah, so they were just little kids. So when we ended up getting married and everything and moved up to Ogden, and they moved up also.
So now you're in Utah. How'd you get into law enforcement?
So when that job ended, he wanted me to move back to Virginia and run a plant back there. And we just loved Utah a lot because it was everything Virginia had except the humidity. And
Do you like the humid?
Virginia is very humid.
No, you don't like it?
Well, if you have the chance to not have it, then it's better, you know? And I really liked it out here. It's a lot more public land that you can go camping on. You can go.
So many.
Yeah. Whereas in Virginia, it's kind of the public land you really don't want to go hunt on because there's so many people on. It's not very much. So we just really liked Utah. We love camping. We love obviously 4-wheelers and stuff. So I came to a crossroad, and my wife, I had always missed the military, just because, you know, the brotherhood of you can trust the guy next to you, he can trust you type thing. And I'd always, you know, always watch Cops. And I was like, I want to
TV show.
Yeah. So, and you know, I was like, I want to do that. And my wife was like, you should try. And I'm like, I'm too old, you know. And at the time I was 30, 32. And I'm like, I'm too old to do that. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, I am. They want like 18-year-olds, you know. And so when I decided to quit that job, I applied for Provo City, which is just not far from here. It's in Utah County, and then I applied for Highway Patrol, and I went. Both of them offered me a job, and Provo was just quicker calling me than Highway Patrol. So I accepted the first offer I got, which is kind of what I wanted to go be a city cop versus highway anyway. It just seemed like it was more interesting, or stuff that I liked, you know.
So what's the police academy like? Is it just memorizing laws, making sure you can handle a firearm and stuff, or?
Yeah, so they obviously teach you the laws. I mean, there's no way for you to know every single law, you know, and so they teach you all the laws, the rules. They teach you shooting. They teach you, you know, a ton of scenarios, which is kind of like play. I don't want to say play war, but like, you know, hey, you're going to this house and it's domestic violence, and you know, you go in, you got role players, so it's a lot of that type of stuff. Um, Emergency vehicle operations, which is obviously running code with your lights and sirens and maneuvering through traffic, or, you know, pursuits, stuff like that, how to handle different situations, defensive tactics in case, you know, somebody that you're trying to arrest doesn't want to be arrested.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of training, kind of like drinking water from a fire hose, I guess, you know. So
you're getting drips and everything.
Yeah, and it's like, but very stressful. But it's you know, it's 4 days a week, 10-hour days, because I went full time to the academy. So you get weekends off, which is nice, but weekends you're usually studying, or because they got several tests a week. So
are you paid in the academy usually or not?
Yeah. So at the time when I got hired, a lot of agencies weren't. A lot of agencies, you had to put yourself through the academy too.
So it's like 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of them, the ones I applied for, because I mean, we knew that, you know, being married with kids in a house, that there's no way we can just no income at all, and we got to pay for you to go to the academy, you know. So I applied for the agencies that they paid while you were at the academy. They sponsored you, is what they call it. So I went and did ride-alongs with different agencies that sponsored you, and then I just kind of narrowed it down to my choices, and then I applied for those agencies.
I was going to say, these sponsor because they're expecting you to come to them back, or
yeah. So if you go through them, then yeah, you're not so much have a contract, but you have to go work for that department. Like you can't graduate the police academy like, thanks, I'm going over here, you know. So
a little off topic, but what do you think of all those New York cops going down to Florida?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Fill me in.
Well, with all the crazy stuff going on in New York, a bunch of them, the Florida is like, hey, we'll offer all these incentives for coming down, and a lot of them are taking it. But I don't know if you transfer departments, if you lose on your pension for like 20, 30 years in, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But.
So with Utah, so you're, you know, obviously every department they're paid differently, and a lot of officers do move departments, shift departments, and it's just, you know, hey, this, you know, let's say you're in Provo and Orem says, hey, we're offering $2 an hour more pay raise, you know, and so a lot of officers will jump ship, I guess. Me, I was kind of loyal. I'm like, hey, Provo offered me a job when I was 30, you know, so I'm kind of loyal to them, and so I stayed there. But yeah, there is a lot of officers that do that, and your retirement is through the state.
Oh, I
so
see.
It's so your retirement doesn't change. Now your pay does change, and obviously your seniority, you still have that many years, but you're still a rookie, I guess, when you go to a new department type thing.
Interesting.
So
when you're in the police academy, what's it like doing the scenarios or doing like the high speed pursuits and stuff like that?
So it's nerve wracking because a lot of scenarios, you know, and you have, they call them sim rounds, which is basically like a paintball gun, I guess. Yeah, similar to a paintball gun, but you know, these scenarios, you have that, and obviously the individuals possibly have something like that. So it's very interesting because some of the scenarios you go in and somebody will act like they're pulling a gun, and it's really a cell phone. Like, hey, look at these. This is pictures I have. And, you know, some guys, they freak out and start shooting them. Like, you're going to shoot somebody because they got a cell phone, you know? Like, so it's very nerve wracking, but they're trying to teach you, like, hey, you got to take it step by step. You know, it's split second decisions, or it could be a real gun. And if you're like, oh, I'll just wait, you know, you got to be ready. So,
that's hard. I've done some simulation training, and man, it's hard, those split second decisions. But it's all the reps. It's about reps.
Yeah. So that's why officers do a lot of training. Like I was on the firearms team for Provo, so I helped instruct other police officers with shooting. And you do a lot of like from the holster. Pretty much everything on the qual is from the holster.
Yeah.
Because when you go to a call, you're not going to be carrying your pistol. Like, hey, good afternoon. How are you? You know. So it's. And nothing's ever planned, you know. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna go to this house, and 5 minutes into it, he's gonna pull a gun, you know. So, but
dang. And with your previous background in the Marines and training in, you know, the shooting team, I'm sure you're like pretty good at that stuff by that time, right?
Yeah, I'm
a little rusty, maybe, but
no, I maintain.
Kept up.
Yeah, I kept up on it. I still to this day, you know, me and my wife, we try and shoot once a week. Obviously weather dependent, so realistically, and through the winter, we may shoot every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But yeah, we still. I just love it. Awesome. I'm addicted.
Yeah. Do you try and shoot inside mostly, outside, or both? Or?
We shoot outside. We do go inside sometimes. Just we're like, hey, let's go over here. But as you know, here in Utah, I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere and shoot. Yeah. So we have our little, not secret spots, but our little spots that we go shoot. And I love rifle shooting a lot more, whereas my wife enjoys pistol shooting a lot more.
Okay.
So we try and go places that I can shoot different distances, and then I mean, she still shoots rifle too, but she can sit here and do her pistol shooting stuff.
Totally. After you finish the police academy and you get out, and looking back at everything, what do you think is like the hardest things for new police officers?
So the hardest thing that I seen, because I was a field training officer too. So once officers graduate the academy, then they do in-house training, and then from in-house training they call it FTO. Which is 4 months long. Every month they're with a different officer, a field training officer. So I did that. And you don't realize, and I think the Marine Corps kind of calluses you to a lot of stuff. And I'm sure every branch is the same way, but you know, I remember this one kid, which I'm not going to say her name. We went to, it was an older lady who had passed away, and he had never seen somebody that wasn't alive before. And he instantly was like white as a ghost. I'm like, are you okay? Like, do I got to call medics on you? And he's like, no, I'm fine. And I'm like, are you sure? You don't look fine, you know? And you just kind of take stuff like that, you know, some some officers have never, situations they may be in, they've never been in, and so you learn stuff like that, and it's just kind of rewarding to be able to train people and help, officers and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you think that the training they get, obviously the police academy is not the end all be all, but like,
Yeah.
do you think police officers in general get enough training or not enough or just enough?
So I think they get realistically the amount of training they need,
Mm-hmm.
but the amount of training they truly need, they'd be retired before they were even put on the
I
road,
see.
just because. So at the police academy, you're taught federal laws, state laws, that sort of thing. Now, cities, they add their own laws into it. They can make them more strict than state law. So that's what in-house is, 4 months, which you're learning all the city codes where, you know, Provo and Orem, we did a lot with Orem, but they have, different laws about, parked vehicles on the street, or they have, you know, homeless stuff or panhandling, stuff like that. Whereas they don't really teach you at the police academy because every city has their own codes on that. So, even at in-house, it's still a lot of drinking from a fire hose.
Mm.
And then when you do FTO, that's what was really good, because now it's no more scenarios. It's real calls you're going to, but you have an experienced officer with you.
Yeah.
So if you get there and it's domestic violence, husband and wife are arguing, and you go there and just like, hey, y'all are just whatever, fight, then he could step in like, no, don't have them fight,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or y'all are getting divorced. You can't tell them to get a divorce, like, so you have a senior officer there that's kind of, if you start going down the wrong way, or if you don't even have a clue, like, hey, I don't know what to do here. He can step in and
That makes sense.
kind of teach you. And then, so you do that for 4 months with 4 different officers, 4 different shifts,
Mm-hmm.
because day shift, your calls are completely different than graveyard shift or swing shift.
Is it like more dangerous at night or more just domestic?
No, during the day you get a lot of the like fraud calls or
Ah.
stuff like that. Whereas 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody's not calling the police like, "Hey, I just give somebody all this money and I think it's a scam." So usually graveyards is, and swing shift too, is swing shift's really busy, but graveyards is definitely like, that's, I hate to say real calls, but like the more serious ones,
Yeah.
and day shift you get a lot of VIN inspections or parking problems. Somebody's blocking my driveway, and a lot of the other calls. So that's why they have you do each shift with a different officer.
What did you like best?
I personally love graveyards.
Did you?
Yeah. And just because
Fits the personality.
Yeah. So like swing shift, I hate to say it, but you seem like a call taker. You couldn't be proactive because it was so busy. Because people are getting home from work. So you're dealing with car wrecks. You're dealing with, I got home and somebody's parked in my driveway that I don't know whose car it is, and especially because BYU's in our city. So you get a lot of the, as lower campus housing is just so many cars and so crowded.
Yeah.
So you kind of do a lot of the call taking, whereas on graveyards in the, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, there's not really much going on. So you get a couple hours to be able to try and find stuff, or, prevent crime, or just be proactive, and that's what I really liked.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So as far as the training though, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but what would something you would wish would be different if you could go back and like, man, I really wish they did this differently for training that would have helped more?
I really don't know.
Okay.
But I think, I think they do the best they can with what they're given and the amount of time,
and you learn on the job too, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That makes
But,
sense.
I mean, there's no way to train somebody for every possible call,
Yeah.
and like the craziest call I remember I had was somebody called in and there was somebody going in a manhole. And I mean, they can't train you for that, and I got there and it was just a city worker going, so I mean, somebody was going in the manhole, but it's like, it's a city worker doing whatever they do in the manhole, but, calls like that, it's like, there's no way to train for every call like that,
Yeah.
So I think that officers are trained to the best that they can, but a lot of it's trial and error, I guess, and learning as you go.
Okay. And then what do you think of like movies and stuff and like people misunderstand about being police officer or like law enforcement?
You mean like how's real life being a police officer compared
versus
to
like,
movies? Obviously in the movies they never reload. So,
I shot 37 times.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it, it's hard to compare because I only did Provo. So I mean, some of the movies, I'm sure that that's happened somewhere in this
Not like
world.
Chicago or
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm sure that, their calls are a lot different than what we did in Provo,
That makes sense.
But I mean, I think for the most part they're pretty good, except, they tend to spin, pit maneuver a lot. Like he had a turn signal out and he's not stopping, so I'll just pit him in the middle of a busy road, So
Yeah.
there's obviously a lot of Hollywood in it, but
Dang. Did you ever have some high pursuit chases in a car?
So Provo has policy where you can't just pursue everybody.
Mhm.
I was involved in a couple, and it's a whole different animal, I guess. And like one of them I'll talk about was she was actually having a medical condition, and we had got calls because she was coming down the freeway south on I-15 and was just hitting cars and basically just putting them in the guardrail and stuff. And she'd cause like 4 wrecks. And so they're like, hey, everybody be on standby in case she gets off in your city. And so I went to our on ramp, and Highway Patrol was trying to locate her, and they were trying to deal with all the crashes that she's caused along the way. And it just so happened that as I got to the freeway, she was coming right in front of me. And so I followed her, trying to get her pulled over, and ended up being a medical condition. But thankfully, we got her pulled over down in Spanish Fork, actually. So I'd gone a long
She
way
went
outside
far.
of Provo, yeah. And my sergeant, he didn't catch the beginning of it, and he's like, "Why is Brian down in Spanish Fork pulling over cars?" And so then he got caught up because he was on a different call, and he just got back on the radio and here Brian's getting off in Spanish Fork with the car, and he's like, "He's supposed to be in our city," and so that was pretty comical. But yeah, it ended up being a medical condition, and I'm not saying it was right, but it wasn't like something other than
Not a
that.
bank
So
robber.
yeah. So
Was she going over 100?
no, it was actually a very low speed pursuit.
Was she just hitting?
Yeah, it was. I think the fastest we got was like 50 miles an
Oh,
hour.
really?
Yeah,
It's like 70. Yeah.
yeah,
At the
yeah,
speed limit.
yeah. So that's what I say. It was very
Unusual.
low pursuit, I guess, or low speed pursuit. But yeah, I mean, the vehicle, it was a tank, and she was just finding her way wherever she was going. And then
Mhm.
the paramedics came, and because once we realized what it was, paramedics came and they give her some IVs and stuff, and instantly like, what happened? What happened to my car? We're like,
Yeah.
well, your insurance company's probably going to fill you in, like, but
What was the medical condition?
what was it? Honestly, I can't remember.
She's like, didn't know what she was doing, or her
Yeah, it
senses
was
were gone?
yeah, it was something with like sugar or something.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what it was. It was
Interesting.
years ago, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just remember it was
Interesting,
interesting. Yeah.
huh? Okay. So I want to go into how you got into the SWAT, but before that, what is the deal with firefighters and law enforcement? Is that a real thing? Or is that just movies?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we would do anything for them and they would do anything for us, but yeah, it's just an ongoing joke, I guess, that firefighters think they're better, but we all know that the police is better than the fire department. But yeah, we used to, it was good time, and but obviously on calls it's 100% serious, but like when we'd do events and stuff, we'd have fun. We always had like little Provo City Police Department stickers. We'd give them to kids like, "Hey, I'll give you 2 if you go give them firefighters over there one." And they'd go over and, and just stuff like that.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
put the sticker, see if you could put the sticker on their fire truck, and just kind of an inside joke. But yeah, at the end of the day, obviously we're there for each other,
Yeah.
and it's like the brother and sister that fight, but don't mess with, nobody else can mess with them, just you type thing.
That's hilarious.
So
Good deal. But yeah, so how do you get into SWAT? Because I know that's like a pretty prestigious thing. Not everyone goes into SWAT.
yeah, so they do SWAT tryouts.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be off probation, which Provo City was a year. So you had to be a police officer for a year before you can try out for any specialties, which is mountain rescue, search and rescue, be on any type of firearms team or anything like that.
Like K9 too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So K9 is a little bit different. You got to
Okay.
be on a lot longer because they have to know, they're more senior officers because they have to know the codes and stuff for the city, and they have to be able to know the stuff with the canines, when they could send a canine, when they're not allowed, when they're, it's just a lot of separate stuff that they have to know that a normal police officer doesn't.
Mhm.
Um, So yeah, I was at like 10 and a half months, I think, and they had a SWAT tryout, and I was like, I want to try out, and um, my my bosses were like, you can't, you got to be a year, and but they only do tryouts once a year, so I was like, well, I don't want to wait a whole nother year. So the SWAT commander at the time, he knew my background, and he was like, let him try out, because like by the time we decide, it's going to be after a year anyway. So I ended up getting tried out, and so Provo, which covers Orem, so they call it Metro SWAT, so it's Provo, Orem, BYU, and UVU is their territory. Um, but it's not a full-time thing. You're just on call 24/7.
Oh, okay.
So for tryouts, once they determined, okay, tryouts is on this date, they say you better have your phone on you. And part of the initial training was they would text you throughout the night. Hey, put 2 pairs of white socks in your bag. And you had to bring a bag. They would tell you, they give you a gear list. And then throughout the night, like every couple hours, they would text you, hey, put a washcloth in your bag. Put a right shoe in a bag, and then when you got there, that was the first qualification, I guess, was if you had everything that they had texted you. And I found out later the reason they do that is because they have to make sure that if they get a call out, that you're coherent enough, like, okay, I need to get all my gear and I need to get there. Um, and I'm sure a lot of us just messing with you too, but that's the reasoning behind it. And so that was the first, I guess, test. And then from there you did, went to the range, qualified, obviously all under stress because, obviously when SWAT's called out, it's something serious. It's something that the normal officer can't, it's above his training. Um, So you go to the range, qualify with that, and then just a bunch of scenarios, a ton of scenarios. Um, and I think when I went through, I think it was like 16 or 17 hours long. They were testing, and it was a physical test, so we had to run and all that stuff. But it was very long day. And at the end of the day was when the scenarios were, because they wanted to see how you operated under
when you're already tired.
Yeah, when you're tired and stuff.
Can you give an example? Like, what's the scenario?
Just obviously SWAT. When you get called out, it's usually a barricaded subject, or it's somebody that they've possibly hurt or killed somebody, or have a gun, something like that. Where it's, if a regular officer handled it, it probably wouldn't end very well. Or there's other ways to handle it, I guess, or it would just tie up too many officers for too long. So they'd call out SWAT. So and a lot of that was, you'd go to these scenarios, and now it was at the end of the day, so you've already had 10 hours of running and all this stuff, and rifle range and pistol range. And you may go into a scenario where it's a barricaded subject or a hostage situation, and they just want to see how you handle it. Just, they don't want somebody to just go in and just shoot everybody. And so they see how you handle it with obviously just regular police training. Because with SWAT, you have to, common sense goes a long way, and you have to be able to work as a team too. You have to be able to trust the other guy. And like, I was fortunate enough, I was one of the snipers. So we did Overwatch was our number one priority. So we could see things that the guys stacked up on the door couldn't see, whether it be a window or if they're in the backyard, whatever. And we had optics and binoculars and all this stuff. So we could kind of feed them what we seen, whether it be, hey, this door is going to be opening inside to the right or inside, so you can tell them stuff like that. So when they get there, they're not blinded, and it kind of speeds up the process, helps them out a lot. So yeah, that's just a lot of scenarios like that. And then at the end of it's just interviews. You go in with the SWAT commander and all the team leaders, and they kind of talk to you and see what your goals are. And so when I went to that, they asked me what I wanted to do. I told them be a sniper, and they're like, well, you got to be on SWAT for, I think it was 2 or 3 years before you can try out for snipers. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, do you want to be on entry or any of that? And I'm like, no offense, but not really. Like you spent 8 years in the Marine Corps of, we called it mount military operation, or basically house clearing, room clearing. And it's like, I'm kind of over that, like I think I'm more beneficial doing the sniper stuff than, and of course they were like, well, we don't typically do that. And I'm like, I understand. And would you want to be on entry? I would do it just till I could try out for snipers, but just know that that's not my goal. Like some guys, and by all means, if it had been 10 years earlier, yes, I want to kick in doors nonstop, and or blow doors off the hinges and but but it was just like I thought I was more valuable as a sniper. So they said okay, and I honestly thought like I don't have a chance, and I came home late that night. My wife was like, "How'd it go?" I'm like, "It went good, but I don't think I have a chance." And why not? So I told her that, and I didn't know that when I went into it. And she was like, "Well, you never know." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I do know. Like it's not going to happen." And so like a couple weeks goes by, and then they called me in and um, offered me the sniper position, but they said that um, don't give us a decision now because it's going to be you're going to catch a lot of kickback from this. So go home, talk about it. And I'm like, no, I don't need. I know what I want. And they're like, nope, we're not taking an answer till tomorrow. Go home, sleep on it, talk to your wife about it, talk to your sergeant about it, whatever. And so I went home, and then the next day I told him I wanted to, and the reason being is because snipers, there's a lot of guys that want to do it, a ton of them, and I was fortunate enough with my background, and so that they knew that the military had already not wasted, but they spent a lot of money in training me in marksmanship and sniping and that sort of thing. That it was less training that they had to teach at the SWAT level. Whereas if they took a regular guy, the chances are he's never had any type of long distance precision shooting training before. So they end up offering it to me, and it was me and another guy he was prior Marine also.
Oh, really?
He actually worked for Orem. Both of us. He got the job that he wanted. He wanted to be a breacher, which that's like another step, kind of like snipers, but the other way. But that's what he did in the Marine Corps. And he actually beat me by 1 point at the police academy for the high shooter. It made me so mad. Zollinger, you probably don't know him, but he works for Orem as a police officer, and so he went straight to breachers, and I went straight to snipers. And I remember our first training, like nobody would talk to us, and I'm like, did we make a right decision? Like these guys have to trust us, and we have to trust them. He's like, dude, we got it. This is what and we kind of pep talk each other, and like after the training, the SWAT commander kind of pulled everybody in and told them our background, and then they understood, and then it was a different story. But it was at first it was like, dude, we made a bad decision. Like they're gonna beat us up at lunch, like. but but yeah, it was definitely. I love every minute of it, and after we did a couple trainings, and they seen, because a lot of the training, obviously snipers are involved. So we did a lot of trainings, and they seen how good I was with the rifle. Then they were like, okay, now we understand. Like it's
We're okay
not,
with that guy up top.
yeah, it's not a favoritism thing now, So it worked out good. And same thing with Zollinger, who ended up doing the breaching thing, and he ended up actually coming over to snipers a couple years after that, and so he was one of my sniper partners for a while, which was cool,
Yeah.
And so yeah,
That's wild.
Yeah.
So the Marines really did help with
oh yeah,
all the firearm training and teaching and
yeah,
shooting contests, like it.
and just life in general.
Yeah.
Like looking back, not saying I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't go in the military, but I know it had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
It had a lot to instill in, like, don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't Other people are relying on you. You're relying on yourself, and just facing problems head on rather than trying to go around the problem, and so that the military definitely helped with the police department too. Just, when you go to calls, it's like some of them are scary, and you go to a call where husband and wife are fighting, or dad and son are fighting, and it's like if they're beating up on each other and they love each other, they don't give nothing to care anything about us, like, or unfortunately, like if you go to one where a loved one stabbed another one, and it's like, okay, they just stabbed a loved one. What are they going to do to us?
No.
Like they don't care about this
At all.
stupid badge, And so I know it definitely helped with that, even with decision making. Like you got to be quick. You can't sit there and like time out and then sit there and figure things out. And that's where a lot of people don't understand. Like when police go to a call, Like, I can't tell you the amount of calls I'd go to that'd come out as this, and I'd get there, and it's like, that's not even why I'm here. I'm here for this, and that's not just Provo. That's not just, I mean, that's nationwide. And not to mention, there's no script. There's no playbook. Everything is split-second decision, and like, there's been times I've been there talking with people, trying to figure out what's going on, and all of a sudden they just start fighting. Like, you can't, like, nope, I came here because of this. You got to act quick. Like, okay, they're fighting. I need to get them separated. Figure out why they're fighting, and that's where a lot of people just don't understand, it's split-second decisions that could last a lifetime, and so.
Yeah, those split second decisions save a life, take a life. Like that's that's hard.
Very much so.
Were you shocked because you were a police officer for like 10, 11 months? Like that's not long at all, really.
When I became
when you were SWAT.
Yeah, so by the time they took us on and put us through the training, it had been like
just over a year.
Yeah, just over a year, like maybe, I don't know, 12 and a half months, 13 months.
And you went straight SWAT sniper. Like there wasn't SWAT for a year or two and then.
Nope, straight. And what they did was, because obviously military training and, city training is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
The basics are still there, but there's a lot of unknowns that are completely different, and so a lot of the trainings when we trained, half the day I'd go with entry guys, because I had to learn their tactics too. Like, I knew how to clear a room, I knew how to clear a house, I knew how to do this and that, but they had their own way of doing it. So I would train with them half a day, and then the afternoon I'd go train with the snipers, and that way, because I need to know, like, if I'm watching a window, I need to know if they go in that room, how they're going in the room, how they're communicating, what means what, because they have code words that it's a simple word that means something, a phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to know all those too, because I'd hear it on the radio or whatever. So.
Yeah. Were you like the first person to ever be able to go straight from SWAT to sniper?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool that happened, and yeah, it's very, very rewarding, I guess. Yeah. It was kind of, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but yeah, I guess just rewarding to know that I did that, and that, the SWAT commander, he believed in me, and, and when you do that, they look at your record and they pull the, your record book since you've been a police officer and before. And when they pulled the record, and he was like, "Oh, you were second high shooter at the police academy?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I said the other guy's name, and they're like, "Well, he's here trying out with you." I'm like, "I know." Like, he can't get away from me. I'm gonna beat him one day, like, but and we still have an ongoing joke, we stay in touch, but yeah, so they pulled that, and they're like, "Okay, obviously he could shoot." And then, they pull up while we were shooting for tryouts. And I actually won on that one. So he was like, "Okay, you can shoot." So, and then they had me go out and shoot a 308, and just, they asked me a lot of questions about the scope, like the turrets and the difference between MOA and, just sniper knowledge, I guess. Just to make sure that I did know what I was trying out for. So, and then obviously went to the range and shot the 308 and all that on a different day to make sure that, okay, he can shoot a 308. He's not like, "What's this?" That's the bolt. You need to know how to use the bolt, and so.
Dang. But what kind of gun were you guys using for sniper tryouts or when you're active SWAT?
So it started off as Remington 700, 308, obviously. But then they're done up, it had Night Force scope, but it's not just let's go to Walmart and buy a 308 type rifle. And then we also had an AR-15, chambered in 5.56. That was for times where if it's an apartment complex or a trailer park or something where a 308, you got to worry about over penetration or, about what's behind the target. That way, obviously 308 is going to go through a lot more and cause more damage than. So a lot of times we would use, and if we were just tighter quarters, whereas a 308 just wouldn't work, so we'd use the little ARs. They were done up too, and they had Night Force scopes and stuff. But.
And I imagine SWAT, especially in like a city, you're not shooting hundreds and hundreds of yards. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to train for that, and we had to qualify for that. But yeah, I think the furthest whenever we got called out, obviously, you get ranges. You do a range card and all that, but I think the furthest I ever was like 78 yards or something.
Okay.
It's all.
Well, you're in the city. It's
Yeah,
not, yeah.
you're in the city. There was a couple that we were supposed to get called out to, and we were on the way, and then the person ended up giving up before we got there.
Mm-hmm.
That was more on the west side, like by the lake, where it is further. It would be further.
Yeah.
But it's only further at the beginning. By the time you get closer, it's you find a way to get closer. And there's so many different ways now that people always say, "Oh, snipers are on the roof down the road." That's very few times are you ever on the roof.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Where would you be then?
Well, I'm not going to.
Okay. Don't tell me the secrets.
Yeah. Well, it's not secrets, but I mean, there's a lot better options than being on the,
better angles or exfils or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So.
Heck yeah. Was your wife pretty obviously happy, but like law enforcement, SWAT, I'm sure she's like a little bit anxious now. Yeah. When you're going out all day and.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a couple times, I'd work a 10-hour shift as a police officer, and then something would happen. They'd call out SWAT. So it's like, I wouldn't even get to go home, and I'd, have to go to that. And obviously when SWAT's called out, their whole mission is not to go, hey, let's just go blow up the house, So obviously you want to negotiate, and you want to, as long as there's no reason to escalate it, so, there was a lot of times that I'd be on a call out for 6-8 hours, and it's just because there was no reason to escalate it. Like, negotiators thought they were going somewhere with it, or unfortunately the individual, takes himself out, before it goes any further. But there's many a times where I'm on the way home. Okay, what do you want for dinner? Never mind, I just got called out. Like, I don't know if I'll be home in an hour or 10 hours, so.
I'm sure that was hard for her and the kids, yeah.
Yeah. And usually when, unfortunately, but higher profile stuff like that is usually on the news, and
worries her more than, yeah.
Yeah, just because, I'm not, like, I took sniping very seriously, and, I couldn't sit there on my phone texting while I'm supposed to be watching a guy through a window, because then the minute I'm texting her, my focus isn't on that. And, there's a lot of officers that are on the ground or dealing with that are dependent on trusting that I have their back and seeing stuff that they can't see. So, so I took it very serious. So it wasn't, she didn't know. Like, once it was over and said and done with, I would text her, hey, I'm okay. I'll call you in a little bit, and we'd do our debrief. And then the whole way home, I'd be talking to her. But, yeah, it's just, she turns on the news too and glued to it.
Dang. That's gotta be hard for the family.
Yeah.
But I guess she kind of knew what you signed up for because she was encouraging you to try out, yeah?
Yeah, it was her fault. So if she has a problem with it, it's her fault, But yeah, she's always been a huge supporter of mine. That's awesome. I'm a supporter of her too. But
Oh, not now. I mean, like when you were you doing both at the same time?
What? Both what?
Like being a law enforcement officer for Provo City and then being called to SWAT whenever they needed you?
Yeah.
So you're doing both?
Yeah, you do both.
Oh, I see.
Because SWAT, they train twice a month. 2 days a month they train. But yeah, they're on call 24/7. So there was times when I was working and something would happen here in Orem, or something would happen in, on BYU camp, wherever, and they'd call out SWAT. So obviously my shift sergeant and all them knew that I was on SWAT. So the minute a call out would come out, I would just call them, and then they would have somebody cover my shift or whatever, and I'd go from there to the call out part.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, did you ever have to take a shot as a sniper or no?
No.
Are you happy about that?
Yeah. It's a fortunate thing, and unfortunately with SWAT, like a lot of times when you get there, the person's already ended it themselves. Just because they know what they've done. They're going to prison for a very long time. So a lot of times or there's, unfortunately drugs involved, or where they're not exactly in their clear head, and they end up doing it. Either that, or negotiators do great things, and after a couple hours, all right, I'm giving up, and they come out, and then they get in handcuffs, and they're a tough guy again after they're in handcuffs,
It's all the act.
Yeah. But yeah, so I fortunately never had to. I know shortly after I quit the police department, they had two of them, two call outs that they actually had to take the shot. And, fortunately no officers were hurt. But yeah, that's not what anybody wants to do. That's the last thing.
Yeah. I know you've told me the story before, but if you could share it, do you know anybody that's ever had a split second decision where they're like, I don't have a green light yet, but I feel like this is the right thing to do?
Yeah. So this was after the police department, and we had with Venandi Holsters, we had sponsored an event, and I ended up becoming pretty good friends with this guy that he actually worked for one of the major cities, not in Utah. And he was a SWAT sniper, and their city had the red light, green light, so you weren't allowed to protect anybody unless they give you the green light. And he was telling me that they were hitting two locations at the same time simultaneously, two different SWAT teams, and it was for weapons and drugs and some other things. And when they were hitting them, the entry guys are lined up downstairs, and he was behind a dumpster or something and just watching the side of the building, and somebody was upstairs and leaned out with a pistol, and he ended up taking him out, and he ended up not getting in trouble, but it started off where they took him off SWAT and everything because he didn't get the green light to take the guy out. Luckily here in the SWAT team I was on, they didn't have that. Obviously you don't just get to shoot everybody, but they don't see what you're seeing, and when you're looking through your scope, like in his situation, he knows, he said it, if I did not take that shot, that guy was going to unload on everybody below.
Who was below?
The SWAT guys, the entry guys.
His own guys.
They were getting ready to make entry into the building, and somebody upstairs just leaned out, and that's sniper's job, is protect those guys, and he didn't have time to get approval. That guy was already out the window with a gun, and he ended up taking them out. And because he didn't get approval to take them out, he ended up, getting in a little bit of trouble, and then he ended up getting cleared of everything. But like he said, it was very scary. Like, he knows that if he didn't do that, that one, if not all them guys would have got hurt, or who knows, the guy could have been on drugs and not even hit any of them, but it still would have scared them like you wouldn't believe, and not understand what was going on. So,
dang, that's wild.
Yeah.
Do you remember the furthest shot you've ever taken for practice being a sniper?
Oh man. We used to, when we'd go out to train, there was times you'd shoot 1,000 yards. But obviously we trained more realistic. So in the city, we would definitely train 100 yards or under. Mm-hmm. We'd train 200 and 300 yards. But those we trained a lot, but there was a lot of times that, you shoot further distances, because that also helps you hone your skills too.
Yeah.
Because if the littlest mistake shooting at 1,000 yards it shows a huge mistake, so that always helped a lot.
So what's the hardest part about taking a long distance shot?
So definitely the wind, and say 1,000 yards, let's say you're hunting, and 1,000 yards, let's say you're going to, here in Utah, we have a lot of canyons. So let's say you're shooting across two canyons. One canyon wind could be blowing right to left, the other canyon left to right, and in between it could be doing whatever, so that's the hardest thing, is just getting your wind right. And then obviously you got time of flight. Further shots, the bullet, it's not pull the trigger, it hits a target,
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the hardest thing.
A bunch of people think about movies, yeah, for snipers, whether it's like a police officer sniper or like a hunter or like military.
Yep.
What's something that maybe they get wrong in the sniper movies that, like, versus in real life, you don't think about?
Round count.
Again,
movies, they never run out of bullets. That, and the far shots, like you'll see, in movies, they're like standing up shooting 1,000 yards at a moving target, and it's like, okay, that is like extremely difficult shot, and that, or yeah, just stupid things, like if you could shoot a 1-inch group at 100 yards, that same 1-inch group at 1,000 yards is now 10 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that in perspective. It's like every little mistake at close, it just magnifies it further out. And a lot of times in movies they don't show that. They got an AR-15, they're shooting somebody 2,000 yards away, and it's like, and he does 2 flips when the bullet hits him. And it's like, come on. So
that's what I think right now when I'm shooting I just got a new bow.
okay,
I got a Hoyt, trying to get into archery. Yeah.
Nice.
So last year, and I've just been practicing more and more and going out. But yeah, you take shots at 10 yards, and at 20 yards, that 1 inch is now 2 inches and off. I'm like, man, that's a big difference. But at 1,000 yards, I can imagine it's huge.
Well, see, you're more of a man than me. My wife shoots a bow. She has a bow. I owned a bow for about a month and sold it.
Yeah.
It was so expensive for me.
It's pricey.
Losing my arrows was the expense. If I take my rifles out and shoot, like I know I'm not getting those bullets back.
Yeah.
Like I've cut my losses before we even leave. Whereas with a bow, I'm like, okay, I'm taking out 10 arrows. I'll come home with 10 arrows. No, I'd come home with like 3. And the other ones are somewhere. So I'm like, this just isn't for me, And so my wife shoots her bow and I walk with her, get her arrows, and we come back. And I never got into it. Like I tried getting into it, but I'm like, this is not for me.
Yeah. My first dozen arrows, because they're not cheap. They're a couple $100. Yeah. Nice tips and stuff. But like, I think my first dozen, I'm down to my 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I try really hard, So they just break.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah. So,
but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. Plus, it's cool to go out when animals call back. Yeah. Especially elk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You go out and hear them. Because like when you go in rifle season, it's kind of later. So you don't really get to hear that.
Yeah. Usually at the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, sometimes depending on the year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So. All right. Well, sniper did that. Check that off the list because you wanted to do that.
Yep.
And then how long were you in law enforcement before you decided to get out? Well, let's back up. When did the holster business start? Because you started while you're in.
Yeah. So it was a part-time. The police department was full-time. That's what paid the bills. That's what put food on the table. And yeah, my wife got tired of me complaining every time we'd go out. I'd go out hunting or something, and just being a police officer, and then even growing up around firearms, like I always have a firearm on me. Like if I'm not inside my house, I have a firearm on me, or unless I'm flying, obviously. But
Air Marshal over here.
Yeah. But yeah, so she got tired of hearing me complain like every time, because I always had a chest holster, because a hip holster, when I had my backpack on or even my rifle slung, rifle hitting it, backpack strap uncomfortable. So I always had a chest holster. Well, then you got binocular case over top of it. They were always just getting not tangled up, but like overlapping each other. And it's like, this is just too much. Like I got way too many straps. So we kept Googling, trying to find something like somebody's got to sell this, and nobody sold it. So we ended up, she got tired of hearing me complain about it. She's like, just design it then. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And she's like, just figure it out. So yeah, it was like a year of cardboard and everything else trying to figure it out. And then ended up coming up with an idea and took it to, I obviously am not a lawyer, so I didn't know how to patent something. We tried, like we went down the rabbit hole of Google, and we're like, we don't know what we're doing. So we ended up hiring a patent attorney, and it worked out good in our favor because I had an actual product I took to him, because at this time I had the finished product, or not finished, but like the product. So I took it to him. So that kind of sped up the process, because we didn't have to. I didn't go to him with an idea and then him have to source it out to people to put it to reality. So did that. Started getting the patent process while I was still doing police work. And then, yeah, after I think it was about a year, I was officially patent pending. And then once you're patent pending, you're allowed to advertise it, because we had put so much money into it by this time that my wife was about to kill me, I think, just because like
how much money was it?
I don't know, but it's just,
like thousands.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But if a police budget,
Yeah.
which isn't much, and my wife, she's a cosmetologist, so between that, and we have family with, at the time, two kids in middle school and high school, so it's like they're playing sports, they're doing this, they're doing that, and so I'm taking money out of savings and, getting invoices from the lawyer. Hey, $1,000, $2,000, $500. And it's like, are we even going to be able to do this? And, so we end up with patent pending, and I'm just like, okay, we're now allowed to advertise it. So that's when we started advertising just through social media. And it started doing pretty good. So at the time, I'm like, oh, it's just going to be a hobby, a part-time thing, just fun money, I guess, and so I was still doing the police stuff, and then it just got more and more popular. And like, when we got into this, we didn't have the money to like, hey, we're going to pay this company $10,000 to advertise. We didn't have that. It was all us, and I was never a fan of social media. I'm still not, but I've learned to do it, and so it was just social media and farmers markets, stuff like that, just trying to get our name out there. And we're like, eventually it's going to get in the right hands, and um, doing that. And finally it just got too busy where I got to an intersection and I'm like, I go this way and just kind of do the police thing and be done with that. Not done with it, but just kind of limit it. Like, hey, yeah, I'll take your order, but I'm 6 months out or whatever, just because I still have a job. Or we focus on that. And I still remember to this day, I think I told you a story, but my neighbor, so by now we had built a detached garage at our house for me to do the holsters in. And I had a neighbor that walked every day, and he'd come by, hey, Brian, and every evening he would see me out there, and, I was get off work at 4 or 5 and I'd be out there until 9, 10 o'clock at night doing the holsters, and then get up the next morning and go be a police officer. And and kind of hoping that SWAT didn't get called out, because I'm like, I don't know what I'll do. And so he would walk by, and one day he came up, and I'd been, at this time, was probably 2 years of me working in the garage and on the weekends. And I'd had a couple part-time guys that they worked in the evenings and weekends with me. And he was like, hey, Brian, there's two types of people in this world. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, a boat gets to shore. One person sits on the boat and looks at the shore. The other person gets off the boat and goes on shore. You're just sitting there looking at shore. Are you going to sit there and look at it your whole life? Or are you going to get off the boat? And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? And he's like, I think you're at a point in your life that you need to do this full time, or you're going to kill yourself working. And I'm like, he's right, and he has a point. I'm literally at shore. Like, do I just sit there and look at the bank, or do I get off and go explore, And so me and my wife we had talked about it, and we had talked about it for probably a good year. So we were putting money away, because we're like, hey, once I quit, like, that's guaranteed money that's not coming in. So we'd been putting money away. We were smart with our money. And so we ended up doing it full time, still out of the house. So as long as the mortgage was paid, I knew that,
another month,
the business had another month. And so then it just got where I had employees. And when I built the shop, I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
So we didn't put running water out there. We didn't put heat, air, nothing. So we had employees. Well, where I live at, we usually get a lot of snow in the winter, and you can't tell guys, hey, take your shoes off before you go inside to go to the bathroom, And so we got to a point where it's like, okay, we've got a full-time guy, and we need to be able to, we can only grow so much here. So that's how we got the storefront now, is we outgrew that shop pretty much.
Yeah.
And my wife got tired of sweeping and mopping every day when she got home,
Your poor wife.
Yeah.
Let's take a couple steps back. So how long were you in law enforcement before you got out and did this full time?
6 years.
Okay.
So I was a police officer for 6 years.
How was it retiring from SWAT sniper? All that work getting in, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't call it retiring. It was good, because this is my dream. I'm living my dream now. I keep waiting. One day I'm going to wake up from it, but I still shoot all the time. I still shoot rifles all the time. I try and do some different shooting tournaments and stuff, just locally. Kind of gives me it. What is it? Scratches the itch, I guess, and
and hunting.
Yeah, and hunting. But yeah, it was a good when I left. But I still stay in touch with all of them, and I still go out shooting with them, and they come by our store now, and we have a gun store too. So whenever any of them are looking for a new firearm, they always stop and have me order it for them or go through me, which I truly appreciate, but it's pretty nice.
That's awesome. So what's the name of the business?
Venandi Holsters.
All right. And where'd you get the name from?
So when I started this, Marine Corps motto Semper Fidelis, which is Latin for always faithful. I didn't want to be like Brian's Holsters or Brian's Tactic, like all these, I don't want to say generic names, but just, I wanted something. So I wanted something that was I was passionate about, which was sniping. And so I kept trying to cross-reference sniper and Latin. So it was kind of the Marine Corps. I was bringing the Marine Corps into the name of it also. Well, it kept cross-referencing to Venandi, which was hunter. So apparently there's no sniper in Latin. It's hunter. I'm like, well, that's even more fitting actually, because we cater towards hunters and outdoorsmen, and so that's how we ended up got Venandi, and we did Venandi Holsters. So it actually is Hunter Holsters, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when you first started doing it, was the very first thing you were working on that pen for the, okay.
Yep. So we focus a lot of attention on that because that's my baby, like nothing against the other ones, inside the waistband, outside the waistband. I mean, people daily carry, and there's more people that daily carry than there are people that hunt, but I'm just extremely passionate about hunting. I'm extremely passionate about the product that I invented.
It's the bino holster.
Yep. Bino pack holster. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm passionate about that. Like we still do a lot of inside the waistband, a lot of outside the waistband, a lot of chest holsters, because some people just don't hunt, or some people, they only want it outside the waistband, and so there's different aspects to that, but my baby's still the bino pack holster.
So when you first started and you got this product, cardboard, and ended up doing Kydex and stuff, and it's patent pending, and it takes you like a year or so. When did you start actually like making other holsters? And was that just for fun or trying to make more money?
No, it was the whole time.
Oh,
okay. Even before so to get patent pending was about a year. So that whole time I was making and selling inside the waistband, outside the waistband. Because when you go to patent something, you have to sign paperwork with a lawyer, and they have to sign paperwork too. But you have to list everybody that knows about your product. So it's kind of it has to be truly a secret, and that way, just for legal reasons, and which I still don't understand all that stuff, but whatever.
But so people can't steal your
idea. So that way, like if I was, let's say I like you knew about it when I was coming out with it, and I put your name down. All of a sudden, let's say your brother is a patent lawyer and he knows how to expedite patents. So he hurry up and gets a patent. Then we can come back and say, no, you knew about his product. You were the only one. And then your brother's works for the patent office or whatever, and was able to expedite so that's not right, and then whatever goes from there.
Do you think that happens?
Obviously, if they have you sign papers,
guess, yeah.
Like I think my patent's like 34 pages, and it's like, I've read it, but I don't I'm like, what are we patenting? Like I could have done it with a paragraph and 2 pictures, like
34 pages.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of legal jargon, and I mean, obviously that's why they get paid the big bucks, but it's like,
you're probably just thinking money I spent.
Yeah, exactly. And then like we got done with it, and they're, hey, congratulations, here's your patent, and they email it to you, and I'm like, don't we get like I was imagining some like big gold picture or something you hang on the wall, and they're like, oh, you want a physical copy? I'm like, yeah. So that was like $500. I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like we've already spent all this. What's 500 more, that I can actually get something to hang. No, it's a printed off copy of my patent. I'm like, well, I could have done that.
$500.
Yeah. And I mean, it's got a fancy cover, but it's just a cardboard cover, but everything else is just printed. And I'm like, well, I could have done that. I don't I get a plaque or something? And they're like, no. Okay.
Anticlimactic a little bit there.
Yeah. So it's whatever.
Okay. So when did you get the patent actually come out, like patent pending? What year was that?
So I believe it was 2019 or 2020 is when we were patent pending. And then this year is because you have to do patent maintenance, which I have no clue what that is, but at 3.5 years. So we got to do that. I think it's next month. So we've had the actual patent for pretty much 3.5 years. I don't know what patent maintenance is. I just know what the bill is, and I'm like, okay. So every 3.5 years, you have to pay the government patent maintenance. I don't know what they're maintenancing, but
they take it anyway.
I guess we'll find out in a couple months. So,
dang. Do you think the holsters have come a long way? Because the first one I got from you was 2022 versus 26, 4 years. Like, has the designs changed at all? Or
yes, 100%.
Oh, really?
Just because, like, I love feedback, and like, if somebody calls and or emails and, hey, I got your product today, but this, and this, I love it. I love the bad feedback. I love the good feedback. Like, some people, they don't like bad feedback, but how am I supposed to get better?
Not straight up.
Because I only know, like, if everybody's like, hey, this is great, this is great, why am I going to try and make it better? If it's great, then
they'll fix. Yeah.
But I may get 50, hey, this is great, and I get 2 that this is great, but those are the emails I really like. Like, I'll look up their order and I'll call them, hey, can you elaborate a little bit more on this? Now, some of them, it's like, that's not realistic. Like you have a great idea, but that is 100% like individual, and I can't even think of an example right now, but just certain things. I'm like, I can do that for you, but it's not something I'm going to advertise or offer, and they completely understand. But then there's some that it's like, really, like right now, for instance, KUIU came out with this chest pack. They've gotten really popular, but they're big. They're bigger than your normal bino pack. But we've been getting a ton of emails and phone calls about, hey, I need a holster for this. And at first I'm like, well, we can't do that, But then after you get so many emails and phone calls, it's like, okay, maybe we need to look into this. Because I know it's popular, KUIU is one of the major brands.
Huge, yeah.
And so I've actually got 3 KUIU chest pack, bino pack holsters, or KUIU chest pack holsters, I guess you call them. 3 that are getting tested outside of Utah area. 2 of those are guides. I try and get a lot of the products in guides' hands because I know that they test the gear. They're in the backwoods a lot more than your average person. But I also like getting your normal hunter because I've learned a lot of times guides kind of put up with something that's not comfortable, or they put up with something because they know that they need that, whatever it may be, They kind of put up with it because they're like, hey, once we get out there and we set up camp, we need this. So I'm going to suck it up for right now until we get there. So guides, I love them. And the 2 that I have are awesome to work with, but I know that they do suck up a lot. So I have a couple. There's actually one guy came by today and picked up local. His brother was actually testing one for us. Well, I guess they went out bear hunting last weekend, and he's seen his brothers and tried it on. He's like, I love it. And I'm like, well, we're not selling them yet. Well, my brother has one. I'm like, oh, great. So I agreed to make him one. So he actually picked it up this afternoon, and he was going more bear hunting this weekend or whatever. So he was like, I'll let you know. And I'm like, okay, like same gun, everything. So I'm like, but it's 2 different people.
Yeah.
They're brothers. They're probably going to have the same feedback, but obviously if his brother loved it and he tried it on and he loved it. So, but I told him, I'm like, hey, I want the good and the bad, more so the bad, and that's how it's making our product better. And, I'm not happy with the product right now for the KUIU chest pack. But the feedback is starting to get better. Like at first you're like, you need to change this. Okay, great. So I correct that, send them a new one. And they're like, hey, yeah, this exactly. And then like a week later, hey, this is great, but we need this. Okay, I'll do that. So we're starting to get a lot less of that. Like, hey, we went out last week, absolutely loved it. No complaints. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to start advertising it yet because you had one good weekend, So I'm hoping in the near future, hopefully sooner than later, we'll be able to start selling them for that. We're still working out a couple of the minor details, I guess. But
so that's how they've evolved, is just through.
Yeah.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes with everything, inside the waistband, outside the waistband. when I first started making our bino pack holster, I set it to what I thought the draw was good. Well, we started getting people that this is way too tight or this is way too loose. And it's like, okay, you need to go to the gym and you need to quit going to the gym, and like, so we end up coming out with adjustable retention several years ago.
That's huge.
Yeah. So that's stopped a lot. Not stopped a lot, but we don't get a lot of phone calls or emails anymore. Like, hey, I love the product, but it's too hard to draw my firearm or it's too hard to holster. So that squashed a lot of that. And then, probably 2 years ago, our bino pack holster, like I'm the type, if I'm out camping and we go on a side-by-side ride, I take my binos with me because it's just my luck. It'll be the like Utah state record elk standing there and I can't see it because my binos are at the camp, So anytime I'm out on any type of trail, even hiking, I take my binos with me. So when I just wear my bino pack holster. But we were getting a lot of people that were prior orders, but they were now ordering a chest holster for the same gun. And I'm like, okay, makes sense. Well, then I had a couple people calling like, is there any way to convert this to a chest holster? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, I'm going on a fishing trip and I don't need to take my binos, but it's the same gun. Like, if not, it's not a big deal. I'll order a chest holster. And I'm like, how much time before you leave? And so I went out and a couple weeks later, I came up with something that was kind of good, I thought. So I sent it to him, and because he was months away from his fishing trip, he was going to Alaska fishing. And so I sent him a product, and he liked it, but he was like, this needs to be fixed, or this needs to be fixed. So, okay. So same thing, then I had a couple of the guides test it, which that product, the guides weren't the greatest tester because they wear their binos all the time. They're guides, they're constantly looking at the next ridge. They're looking in a field. They're looking at whatever. So all of them were like, this would be great, but I will never use it. I just don't think I'll be using it. So we got a lot of regular day-to-day hunters, outdoorsmen. We had a couple that were testing them, and we have a product now, which is our bino pack. It's a chest holster conversion kit. So it's for times of year if you don't want to take your binos, and it makes a standalone chest holster. Obviously, it's for the same firearm, but it kind of saves people money from having to buy two complete separate holsters for the same firearm. It just doesn't make much sense. And yeah, so we offer that now, and that's something that from feedback, and just stupid things, the way we bend a bracket or the way, this is made. They're like, hey, how come it's not like this? Like, I never thought of that, and because that's it's a love-hate thing with having a patent on something because you invented it. So I can't YouTube it. I can't Google it. I can't like, hey, how do I fix this? And so there is nothing. So it's all feedback, or me testing stuff, or, my wife or one of the guys at work testing stuff, like we're hoping next week we're going to have a new holster we'll be advertising. And, we've been testing that for, I want to say around Thanksgiving, that it's like, yeah. Dang. And now don't get me wrong. We haven't been working on it 24/7. Yeah. It's one of those things where
it's been in the works.
Yeah. And my right-hand man, Caden, he's kind of taking the lead on this because it's well, I mean, I guess I could share it, but it's a shoulder holster. So it's a type of holster that, it's something that was around and then it just kind of disappeared. And then over the last, I don't know, 6 months, last year probably, we started getting more and more requests for one. I'm like, I have no idea how to make one, and so he took interest in it, and I'm like, okay. So he's kind of like, if he's gets ahead of schedule, or if he comes in early some days, because my wife laughs at me. I usually get to the shop at like 5, 6 in the morning. We don't know, the store don't open till 8. The guys don't get there till 8. But in those 2 hours, I feel like I get more done than just because the phone's not ringing. Yeah, it's just me. I can put the radio on whatever I want to and just get in the zone. So he'll come in early and work on it. He'll stay late and work on it. I've seen him during lunch. He'll go out and he'll hurry up and scarf it down. And he'll go out and yeah. So he's kind of taking the lead on this, and it's one of those things that I think more and more people, especially being in Utah, a lot of Mormons, a lot of going to church and stuff. And we've been getting a lot of requests because they say they can keep it under their jacket and it's not visible.
So you're talking about like the FBI movie kind
yeah,
of stuff. Okay,
yeah,
shoulder.
yeah. So we're running into so many problems. Like the first, we kind of worked together on the first prototype, I guess, and we're like, this is great. Well, then he carries a 1911 daily.
Yeah.
I carry a 1911 sometimes, usually my shield, but we made them for a 1911, him one and me one. We're like, these are great, and then we go to bend down. We're like, we can't move because it was like seatbelts,
Restricting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, obviously we got to put some flexibility somewhere, So then we came out with this and we're like, all right, this is perfect. Well, then it kept coming unhooked. So we're like, okay, those buckles aren't going to work because you bend over and it comes unhooked and you lean back this way and your gun falls out, So it's like, okay, so then we're going to get that problem solved. And then, okay, now this is great product now. No, it's not because it's killing the middle of my back. It's killing my shoulders. So like, okay, we adjust this and that. And so we finally have a product that we think we're finalized with. We had one little glitch that the parts came in today that he's probably there doing it now since I'm gone. He's like, hey, I got free time, but he's probably working on it now. And then we'll test them out for a couple days and then we'll get pictures and stuff made and get them on the website. So
that's awesome.
So with those, me and him have been testing them, and it's not. I mean, they've been around. Their type of holster's been around forever, so we're not exactly hiding it.
Yeah.
But it's been funny when customers come in like, "Hey, your holster's unhooked," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it is," And like, so, and we've had people like, "Oh, once you come up with a final product, let us know." Well, like I definitely want one. So it's like they're starting to come back, and it just seems like we'll see. I don't know how they'll go, but I know he's enjoying like making it, and he's like, "This is so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I still feel with my binopack holster." Every day it's like, what can I do to either speed up the process or make the product better or whatever.
Yeah, when I was in engineering, that was actually my focus is R&D, research and development, like prototyping. So
well, why don't you ever come by?
Come by Springville, yeah.
Yeah. See, 15 minutes
away. I know,
away.
so close, right? So bad. It's the kids. I blame them.
Yeah.
I know, that's awesome. That's so cool. And it's so crazy that you started this business, and it's not like you had a business background. Like obviously the plastics when you first came over, but like,
but I'm sure I was just a worker at the end of the day. I mean, I was a plant manager, but at the end of the day, I'm still just a worker, and we've definitely learned a ton.
Yeah.
Like I just want to build holsters. Yeah. Like I could really care less about the website stuff. But I know that if the website's not working, then I'm not building holsters, but, my wife's kind of taking the reins on that, and she has no like computer type job background. Mm-hmm. So we had a friend that, he went to college for website design or website building. So he built us our shell, so to speak. And then my wife kind of learned and took over that. And then we've just outgrown it. So that's what she was working on when I just left. So we're hoping our new website will be up and running Monday.
That's what you're telling me.
So I know last time awesome. We were like, we're getting close, but yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff that like we hired a company to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand coding and all that. They
no
do.
one does not.
Yeah. Except the people that, and they may not, they're just blowing smoke.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. But, so she's been working a lot with them, and we originally had it, and then I wanted to change some stuff on it. So my mom passed away from cancer. Her mom passed away from cancer. So we wanted to have, and then I've always been, like for our veterans, I've always wanted to do something for the veterans, and I try and, like I just went on a veteran hunt where I didn't hunt on that, but we donated bino packs and holsters to the 4 combat wounded veterans that were there. And I flew to Texas and was able to give it to them in person. And, but up until then, I'm like, you hear of so many like veteran organizations, and it's like, it's a sad world, but like which ones are real and which ones aren't, And I didn't know. And I couldn't call them. Hey, are you real or a scam? And oh, we're a scam. Good thing you called,
We're a child care facility in
Right.
Minnesota.
Yeah. So I've always wanted to do something like that, but it's like, I don't know how. I don't know where to start, and I don't know anybody that donates to stuff like that to where they can be like, this organization our business has been donating to for a while. So when I came back from that hunt, it was hunting with soldiers, and I got to meet the president of it and talk with him. And then the place I was at, I got to talk to him like, hey, is that organization real? And he's like, I've been working with them for 3 years. They are 100% real. So they take veterans on hunts, and I think it's like once a month, like hunting, fishing, like anything doing with the outdoors. And he's like, the veterans just have to get there. Like once they get there, the hunt's covered, the guides are covered, the food's covered, drinks, everything. And I'm like, so it's a good organization. They said, yeah, absolutely, 100%. So our website was about to launch, and I was like, hey, at checkout, can I have, so we now have a drop down box where it says, you don't have to, but you can donate to the Cancer Society or donate to Hunting with Soldiers. And I wanted it to where, like, if you get on there and like, hey, I want to donate $1 or I want to donate $500, whatever, it goes to that organization. So they had to write codes or whatever for that, and
so just adding stuff onto the website.
Yeah, but it was just something I wanted to do. And
that's awesome.
Who knows? It may be every month that organization get $5 from Venandi Holsters, or they may get $5 million. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I wanted that option there because, for one, it's an organization that I firsthand got to experience and got to see and got to meet the people, and it is nonprofit for the guys that put it on. Like they said, obviously gas is paid for, but they're all retired, like either retired military, retired something, so that it's not their income. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. So I was like, I want to donate to something like that. I want that option there, and so we talked with him, and of course they had to figure everything out on that end, but so we have that on there, and then just our website is just it's from us learning as we go, and now it's like pretty exciting because we're going to have, I hate to say a real website, sorry Crystal, but you know what I mean, like it's going to be a real
robust.
Yeah, like the other one we started with nothing and we just kind of built it up, and now we've maxed it out. Like there's nothing else we can do on it, and so it was good for us because it was very user friendly, and that's what she was talking about today. She was like, I have no clue how to run this new one. And we're like, oh crap, here we go again, but it's a lot better website. Like, so they've been working on that for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months. So
and Monday, hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. She was tying up a few loose ends when I left and on the phone with them. And, yeah. So hoping Monday.
Well, I'll put it in the description for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that's
so
awesome.
It'll still be the same website.
Oh, the same one? Oh,
yeah. Same
easy.
Website, just a new whatever.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
A new physical website. So the one we have now will just be hidden. So when you Google us, it'll take you to the brand new
domain.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know when you've been talking, it's been sounding like it's always been like on the up and up when you started the business, but I'm sure there's moments when you wanted to quit or give up, right?
Oh yeah. Even still to this day, never quit. Just difficult. I had to find a different solution or a different way, or, I've never taken anything for granted either. And I think that benefits me, just because I've had to work for everything. Nothing was ever given to me ever. And, my parents instilled that, like anything in life worth having, you have to work for. If it's given to you, you'll never cherish it, and sometimes I'm like, man, I wish they wouldn't have taught me that. It'd been so much easier, but I take more pride in it. Like, when I started this, I made a promise to myself that I didn't know what it was going to do. I didn't know if it would last 2 months or if 2 months from that day that I was going to be so big and it was going to be corporate and have hundreds of employees. I had no idea. I still don't. But I always made a promise to myself that I'll never get big enough where I don't work and I don't answer phones, text, emails, whatever. Like I actually changed my shirt on the way here because I worked all morning. But it's like it's my baby at the end of the day. Like I have guys that work for me, and my wife, she runs the office and the store for the most part. And it's like I love being in the shop. I love cutting kydex. I love whatever, sanding kydex. It's just I love it, and I hope that I never lose that passion, and I don't think I will because I've worked so hard and there's been so many downs that we've had to fight through, whether it be finances
Mm-hmm.
or, because I made a vow to myself too that I was never going to take out a loan for the business. Like, so all my tools, like I've paid for. Like when I first started off, you'd have thought Harbor Freight sponsored me. Nothing against Harbor Freight, but honestly, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I could look at this sander that was $40 at Harbor Freight versus $1,000 sander, and so I started off with the little stuff. Like it did what I needed. It may not have been the greatest or the quietest or whatever, but um, yeah, I want to work for everything I have, and so I've been able to do that. Now, there's been so many times that it's like, I need this, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Like this would make life so much easier. Um, like one of our big CNC machines, we ordered it and we placed the order like 10 months and then they made it and sent it to us. And I mean, it was like financially, it was like buying a car. And it's like, holy cow, what are we doing? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I know I can't sell this stupid thing, I mean, it's hands down the best investment I did, but it's like, it's not a car where it's like, hey, we can't afford the car, let's sell it,
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it was years. I got prices and then it was 2 years of me saving money to be able to buy it. And then we got it in and it was a completely great decision. Like it saved us a lot of time and a lot of headache, but it's one of the things where I was scared to jump in with both feet,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to have all these loans and all these maxed out credit cards. And
That's how a lot of people do it nowadays.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where I love what I do, but I love working for what I got,
Yeah. My wife wants to start a business and she doesn't want to work for the man. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that first step, that's a hard one.
Oh, very hard.
But
And it's completely different than what I thought.
yeah.
Like I'm like, especially when we got the store, like, I can come and go as I want to. No,
Yeah.
I do way more hours now than when I was a police officer, and because like I said, I like to answer the phone. I like to answer emails, messages on social media and all that. So there'll be times on like a Sunday afternoon, somebody will email the website and I'll respond. It may be like an hour later or whatever, but I'll respond. And they're like, wow, I wasn't expecting to get a response on Sunday. But I'm just sitting here watching TV or I'm just doing this,
Yeah.
And that's what I do. Or people call at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, like, what time is it there? Oh, it's 7:30. And you answered the phone? Well, why'd you call if you didn't think I'd answer?
Yeah.
Like they're like, well, I was just gonna leave a message. I'm like, no, what's going on? And a lot of times hey, I'm not by a computer, whatever. I'll text it to me or message it to me and I'll look it up later, But yeah, it's just I'm in it 100%, and because the email I answer today may be a job a month from now.
Yeah.
Or it may be something where they're placing an order right now and they need it tomorrow, and so that's why I don't know.
Right on.
And you meet so many people,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you have all the numbers, but I'm going to ask some number questions, okay?
Okay.
When you first started, how long did it take you to make one holster?
Oh man. Like very first started?
Or like a month or a year in or something?
So when you first started, like, all the brackets, like the brackets that hook to the bino pack, I was hand making. I had the very first, I don't even know how many months, but it was wood chisels and I'd hit it and cut out a perfect square. Well, then my neighbor, he's an engineer. He was like, hey, I can make you this, basically a punch.
Yeah.
Really? So he took the measurements and I don't know, a couple days later, he brought over these punches and I'd hit it with a hammer and it'd cut out a perfect square. And I'm like, that is amazing. This is the greatest thing ever, So I would say when I was still doing that, I don't know, one holster probably take an hour or two, maybe
really?
maybe 2 hours. Yeah.
Okay. So they're not terribly long.
No.
That's
And
awesome.
then now that we have the CNC machine and we started out, like I took baby steps going back to the Harbor Freight stuff, like not a Harbor Freight CNC, but I got one that was, I think it was like $500. And I'm like, this is great, but it'd cut out one bracket. But that bracket was absolutely perfect. And then it would, so I'd take it off and all, but so then I got my times down to probably about an hour and a half by myself. And then we upgraded that CNC machine to another one that like cut out 3 brackets at a time. We're like, man, this is money, you know? So, and believe it or not, I still have those 2 CNC machines in my shop, and occasionally we still use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when I got this big CNC machine, I mean, the one that cut out 3 brackets, I think it was like 20 minutes to cut them out.
Yeah.
Whereas this big one now, I think it's 6 minutes, and it cuts out like 14 or 15 at a time.
Cow.
Yeah. And that's engraving them too. So now we got it. They got programs like, you want your logo engraved? I'm like, really? You could do that? Yeah. Okay. Whereas before we had a stamp made, a hot stamp.
I'll just heat it up and
like branding type thing, plugged in. So we'd stamp our logo and it basically melted into it. And it looked decent, but it was like that thing, like we'd stamp like 5 or 10, and it was just, you couldn't even read them anymore. So we had to clean it. And like, so now it engraves it. And I'm like, man, we're big time. We're like engraving and cutting, you know? So that machine saved a ton of time.
Yeah.
So the brackets are all cut out now. We have like I guess, inventory of them all. And then, so now probably doing like 2 an hour.
Okay.
Maybe 2.5 an hour.
Dang. So in a day before, you would make how many, and how many can you make now?
Now it depends, because like I said, I do answer the phone. I do answer emails.
Let's say a perfect day. No.
Probably 2 an hour, give or take.
Okay.
And, you know, some of them are easier than others. Some of them, you know, if they have red dots or lights or whatever, you know, they've switched out their mag release to a aftermarket one, so it's a lot bigger, or, you know, just stuff like that. Or slide release, they've switched that out, or added a gas pedal or something to their pistol. That may take a little bit longer. So,
and these are all custom made, so that's really cool.
Yeah, they're all, the only thing, we're 100% handmade. The only thing that's not, I guess, technically handmade would be the brackets. And it's just, there's so many little angles and stuff in them that we want them all to look good, and we want them all to look the same. So the brackets are cut out with the CNC machine, but other than that, yeah, we make every single holster.
Do you have a number of how many you've made since you first started?
I honestly don't. Like, I get asked that quite a bit, and I wish that I would have kept track.
Well, how many can you make in a month or a year, you think?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
When we first started, I was writing down every order in like a spiral notebook. And so I'd go out to the shop with my spiral notebook, and I'm like, hey, you know, whoever, John Smith, right-handed, Glock 17 for this bino pack. And I would do it and then cross it off. So when I give up that, because we started getting a little bit busier, my wife was like, this is so ghetto. Like, there's things like, you know, Word and like document, you know, like there's this is ghetto. And I'm like, but it works. So after I had a pile of spiral notebooks like this in the shop, she's like, I'm like, I don't like computers. So we got rid of those, and I don't know how many was in those, but it's thousands. I mean, I don't even have a clue.
Yeah.
Especially over the years. I wouldn't even know how to guess.
So you made thousands.
Easily. That's over 4 years, 5 years. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's really cool when somebody will place an order, you know, and it'll show that they've ordered several, or like somebody will email and say, hey, I bought one of your holsters, and like yesterday I had a guy, I bought one of your holsters in 2023. I'm like, that's 3 years ago, you know, and you know, he ended up getting a new gun or a new bino pack or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm guessing you like it since you're calling me. And he's like, I love it. It's, you know, so it's cool when you see stuff like that, or even like with you, you know, like you bought a inside the waistband or whatever, and that was what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Yeah. So it's cool when you see stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, I got back my very first patent pending one that I sold. A guy had it for a couple years, and he called me up, hey, I got a new gun and I need it switched out. Can you do that? I'm like, yeah, we could do it for this. And I said, but I need you to send it to me. Okay, not a problem. And it came back, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is one of my first ones. And I'm like, so I called him, and I was like, this is one of my first ones. And he's like, it was your very first patent pending one. You wrote it on a note inside and I'm like, okay, you're not getting this one back. And he's like, no, I love it. And I'm like, I know, but I was like, can I build you a brand new one and I keep this one? No, I really like that one. I'm like, yeah, but it's my first patent pending.
Yeah.
Like, so he was like, okay, but it better be as good. I'm like, hopefully it's better. Like, if not, I don't know. So we ended up, I made him a new one and we sent him a hat and shirt and stuff along with it. And so I got my very first patent pending one back. And then my very first patented one that I sold when I was officially patented, my cousin bought, which I knew it, but just one day I got it in the mail and it just with a note called me and I'm like, oh, what happened to it? And so he called and he had ordered one under like his friend's name. So I had no idea it was him. He was like, hey, this one's for you. And I'm like, why? Like I built them. Why do I need
Yeah.
yours? And he was like, no, this was your very first one you sold as a patent. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll send you. He's like, I think you should have it for memorabilia or,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, I'll send you another one. He's like, I already got it. And I'm like, what? But then I'm thinking my wife went behind my back and did it. But yeah, he had ordered it under a friend's name. So I had no idea and then had it delivered to his friend's house. And so I got my very first patent pending, my very first patented one. And then when I was actually coming up with the idea, of course, I was making them. That's not going to work. I'd cut it up and throw it away. And my wife was getting the ones out that I didn't cut up. So I have several that before we were even patent pending, when I was trying to design it, that she'd gotten out of the trash. And it's funny looking back at those, she wants to do a big shadow box, just steps along the way or how it's
Oh yeah.
improved, and
That'd be cool.
yeah. Yeah. It's fun. Cause like the very first couple ones, like it was the whole entire backside of the bino pack. I did like the whole thing with Kydex and then did the holster. And I'm like, that's just a lot of unnecessary weight. Like, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, so then I started making it littler and littler and, wanted to keep it simple. So that's how we came up. So the main design of it hasn't really changed. We've just kind of fine tuned it and like added adjustable retention and just little things that made it better, I guess.
Do you ever get any stories of people saying like, thank you, or like, I used your um, vinyl pack holster on a hunt and it saved me or helped me? Have you ever had stuff like that?
Yeah. So one that stands out, a guy was in, I believe it was Idaho, cow elk hunting, and he'd gotten an elk and he was field dressing it. And it wasn't dark, but it was, that time of towards the end of the day where the sun had gone down. And he was field dressing it and heard a bear coming out. And so he stood up, hey, bear, and whatever. And the bear took off. And then he gets back down and starts working on field dressing it again. And the bear came out, and this time it was charging him. And he was able to get his gun out and shot it. And it actually, like his arm got cut up from the bear, I guess. So that's how close it was. But when he called me, like, he opened the conversation with, I think I love you. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, where's this conversation going? And then he told me a story and I'm like, wow. So that story, and because he said, I know that if I didn't have your gun or your holster, that I would either been killed or seriously wounded.
Was it a grizzly?
No, I think it was just a black bear. Yeah. And he was like, I know that if it hadn't been for your holster, that I'd have been seriously hurt or wounded. And I'm like, I appreciate that, like, I'm sorry it happened to you. Like, I'm sorry you had to call me to say thank you, but I'm glad that you had it. And then in November, I was on an axis deer hunt in Texas. And this was the first time, like, I'm like, man, I wish I had a GoPro on my head or something. So I had buck fever, didn't make the greatest shot, especially because it was my number 2 bucket list animal, not a shining moment in my life, but not a great shot. And we had to track it. And my guide, of course, the guide, they all had the bino pack holster. So we're kind of tracking it, me and my guide, and he'd called a friend that was out with us. And we're walking through grass, probably waist high, chest high. And all of a sudden the guide to our right, he just pulls out his gun and shoots. And I'm like, is that it? Like, I'm thinking he just finished it off, which is perfectly fine. I didn't want it to suffer. And come to find out, it was a wild boar, and he had getting ready to step on it. Like, I guess it was sleeping or something, and it stood up and was getting ready to charge him. And so my pictures from with my Axis buck, and there's a wild boar there, and a guy sitting there with his 1911 sitting next to it. That's what that's from. And I was like, man, if I would have been able to video that That's perfect. And he was like, dude, I don't know if that thing was I didn't know what it was, but he seriously shot it and it like fell at its feet. And he was like, I know that if it was anywhere else, I would not have been able to shoot it. And I'm like, I got to experience like firsthand, and I didn't even get it on film, you know? So the pictures of me with my Axis and Jake out at B-Tex Ranch in Texas, that wild boar, that's why that's in the pictures, because he wasn't going to put it in my pictures. I'm like, no, that's part of the story, you know, that's part of my experience. So it's pretty cool.
And you just thought, oh, this guy just shot my deer.
Yeah, well, that's which was fine, you know, but and then my deer ended up being, I don't know, 50 yards in the grass. He didn't go as far as what we had thought, and it wasn't as bad of a shot as what I thought, but you know, I was thinking I shoot and it falls right there, and it didn't. So I'm like, oh no.
Dang.
So, but yeah, so it was a good day overall. Like it wasn't like he was wounded and running around for days while we're looking for him, you know. But
man, I'm sure that feels good to hear those stories.
It does. Yeah. And there's a bunch more, you know, that are similar to it. But yeah, it's just, it makes me feel good. You know, it's a bad situation, obviously, especially, you know, in a lot of the cases or the stories I've gotten, it's usually they're field dressing their animal.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it be a cow elk or their dream bull, it's still a time in their life where they're like, man, this is great. You know, I'm going to be able to provide for my family. I'm going to be able to whatever. So you kind of drop your guard down, you know, but that's also when you're most vulnerable because you're field dressing an animal, you know, and it's neat to hear those stories of where our holster, they feel like they've saved someone's life, you know.
Well, you sold me. I'm going to come to your shop and get one.
Okay.
One of the first hunting apparels that I purchased myself was a Badlands long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a little pricey, so I couldn't get a lot, you know, full get up, but I got one. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And now you guys kind of work with them. And I saw that and I'm like, this is awesome. So how did you get into that Badlands?
So we built our holster for all bino pack. Well, I don't want to say all. There's a couple we can't, but most bino packs we do them for. But when I grew up, I was a kid, obviously, like the clothes my parents bought me today wouldn't fit me next year, you know, and so I always had like Walmart camo or, you know, hand-me-downs from cousins or whatever. And when I got in the military and my roommate was real big into hunting, and he was like, oh, I use Badlands. And I'm like, oh, how come? You know, or why? And he was just saying that they offer a really good military discount. They take care of their veterans and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. So years passed or whatever. And when I got out of the Marine Corps and I started hunting more, that's when I started, okay, like I want to get a little bit better quality camo and a little bit better quality gear. And so I've always had their gear. So then when I was patent pending and I really wanted to, you know, our lawyer was like, okay, you need to reach out to some of these bino pack manufacturers because maybe they want to work with you. And I'm like, yeah, but I kind of want to do my thing. Like, I don't want it to be their product, you know? And they're like, yeah, but just call and talk to them. You know, that way they know about you. So I told my wife, I'm like, my dream is to get a hold of Badlands and they want to talk to me, you know? So we started researching them and their headquarters is right here in Sandy. I had
no idea. They're so close.
I didn't either for years. And I lived in Utah and had no idea. I still ordered online, you know? And so we were going up there pretty much on my days off or a day off, maybe every 2 weeks, just trying to talk to somebody. And we called some other ones and, you know, they talked to me for a little bit and then, okay, yeah, we don't want nothing to do with firearms. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to sell you my patent. Like, I would just want to work with you. And no, we don't want anything to do with firearms. Okay. So, finally Badlands, I got a hold of them, or I got in touch with finally the right people. And, they said, okay, come up and sit down and let's talk, you know, cause they didn't know what I wanted and I didn't know what I wanted either, you know? And so I went up and sat down with, a gentleman by the name of Zach and then, another gentleman by the name of Blake who does their YouTube channel. Sit down with them, and at the time, going back to my spiral notebook, I always wrote down which bino pack. So me and my wife sit there going through all my spiral notebooks, and we had numbers like, hey, we made this many for Badlands bino pack. So when we sit down, we told them, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, why do you think? And I'm like, well, it's probably because I wear your gear, and all my pictures are of the bino pack or holster on a Badlands bino pack, and I'm already a part of like the Badlands Facebook groups and all this stuff. And so like, okay. And so we're not partners, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no contract, and they don't pay me, I don't pay them.
Yeah.
We just have a really good working relationship. Like I know, like every event that we have, I reach out to them. Hey, I'm doing this. Like we did the watch party last week, and hey, we're doing this event. I'm like, okay, I'm like, is there anything you can donate for giveaways? And they always, hey, yeah, just come up and we'll get some stuff. Or, awesome. When they do their events, they'll call, hey, do you want to come up and set up a booth? Because usually they'll invite vendors, and yeah, I'd love to. So I go up and we donate, gift certificates or whatever for giveaways. So we've just always worked really close together, and so I've gotten to know everybody at the headquarters up here, and their president and all that stuff. I've gotten to know, and it's just because they're great people, and they're straight shooters with me. Yeah. And I know we've run across, because they know we're a small company. They know that we're not some big company, and we've been up there before. My wife's like, hey, so we're running into this problem with this. And they're like, oh, no, so-and-so come in here. Hey, she's having problems with this on her website. And, they've been a huge help just with knowledge also, just the business aspect. And, we did that hunt giveaway last year, and we're doing another one this year. Venandi Holsters is. And last year when I got the idea, obviously it was the year before is when I got the idea, and I called them, hey, can we have a meeting? I want to run something past you. And I didn't want them to be a part of it. That wasn't why I had a meeting. But I want to sit down with them like, hey, I know you've probably done giveaways. You've probably, what can I do? What can I do? And they're like, and they give me advice. Like, do not do this. Like, you're going to get
really
this, and this. Do this, And so I've taken their advice, and then they're like, well, can we be a part of it? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, can we donate? Like, we'll completely outfit the winner with Badlands gear. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they were a part of it last year, which was our first year.
Yeah.
That guy had a great time, and he was local, which worked out good because it's not just local. So it goes from January 1st, October 1st. October 1st, we do a live drawing on social media, obviously. And it just worked out that he was local. So I got to take him up to the headquarters, and I'm not kidding you. You'd have thought he was on supermarket sweep. Like they were like, okay, they go down the back, if you've ever been in their headquarters, they have like a wall of backpacks.
Okay.
Do you have a backpack? No. And they give him, you like this one? Yeah. Okay. What color do you want? He'd take it. Hey, you got a jacket? What color you want? And I mean, he literally,
Christmas.
he literally got like one of everything. I think it was like $2,000 was his bill that they just like, here you go. And I could not believe it. I'm like, there's no way, and so it just, when I wanted to do it again this year, I'm like, I hate to sound like a beggar, but I'm like, it was so cool to like watch him get all this gear, and he was so happy, and so I brought it up at the end of last year after we did the drawing, went back up and sit down with those guys again. And I'm like, hey, so I'm doing it again next year. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. Even if you just want to donate a jacket. And they're like, no, it went really good. We'd like to be a part of it again. I'm like, okay. So we're doing it again for this year's the winner will, and if they don't live here in Utah, if they're out of state, they said they're just going to get a hold of the person, and they get on their website. I want this, this, and this. And then they'll just ship it to them. And that way they get all the gear. So it's not necessarily like you have to be in Utah. Yeah. So,
and the only reason this came about is because you're so persistent, and they're probably like, man, this guy keeps coming on our door. Like, let's just see what he wants.
He won't leave us alone. Like, maybe if we give him a jacket, he'll leave us alone, Now they're like, crap, now he's got all our gear, so he won't leave us alone, But yeah, and I mean, I deal with a lot of the bino pack manufacturers, and there's another brand is Striver Gear, Evan. When he was coming out with his, he knew about our holster, and he reached out to me and sent me his prototype before he even advertised. So his is the only one on the market that the bino pack is actually removable from the chest harness. So probably 6 months before he released it, we're sending stuff back and forth, and and his, with it being the way it is, it's his bino pack holsters are designed completely different than the rest of them. And so me and, my guy, we sit there and like, okay, this, and we'd send it to him, and he'd get it and like, this is fine, but can we do this? And he'd send it back. where I'd tell him, just cut it up, drill whatever you want. And he'd do that and then send it back to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then we'd modify it. And, so it was nice when he was able to release he was able to release it with a holster option too. And same thing with Badlands, when they come out with new gear or new bino packs, like when they just released their new ones, I guess it's been 3 years ago, but I had all of them before they were released. Like that way, when we release them, you're ready, and a couple other brands have reached out to me too about stuff like that. And I'm like, who would have ever thought, like
that's awesome.
This little guy from Virginia is now like being able to call, I can call Badlands. I can text, hey, happy Memorial Weekend, to the president of Badlands. I'd have never have thought that. Or the owner of Striver Gear, like, hey, hope your vacation's good, and like, who would have ever thought, it's just, that's why I say it seems like a dream that I'm going to wake up from one day. And it's just crazy to me. But
well, we'll sure try to get a guy from Badlands on here as well sometime.
I might be able to talk one of them in.
Yeah.
I might be able, I'll see what I can do.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk before you let you go, because you've been doing this for like 2 hours now. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
But how did you become a movie star on a hunting show?
Oh, jeez. So Trekking Outdoors.
Yeah.
They're filming, or actually not filming, but they're airing season 5 right now. So believe it or not, like we get quite a few messages like, hey, I have a YouTube channel and I'd love for you to send me free stuff so I can put it on my YouTube channel. And it's like, at first I'm like sending so much stuff out. I'm like, well, I'm not even gonna make any sales because I'm giving everything away, But so then I started looking into it, and it's like, okay, we're sending them. These people are doing a great YouTube channel. These people have a great following on social media, but they're not hunters. They have a firearm, but they're not hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing against that world, and I understand why they do it, but it's like, I need to start focusing on ones that actually hunt, ones that can wear my product and then do a YouTube thing or a social media post like, hey, I wear this and it's a good product. So we start filtering a lot of that out. So a lot of them, I'll just respond back like, hey, we're not interested. I'm not interested right now. Or unfortunately, we don't have any more space this year or something, because it's,
Yeah, I get you.
I don't want somebody that's selling vacuum cleaners yesterday and tomorrow is, they're selling cars, know, and so we limit them to the hunting world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chris with Trekking Outdoors, who's the main host or whatever, he reached out to us on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of flimmed over it and I'm like, all right, whatever. So I kind of ignored it. Just think I'll get to it later, and then I'd forgotten. And then like a couple days later, message again from him. And I'm like, really? So I'm looking, I'm like, there's no way that this is really Trekking Outdoors. Like I've watched their show. I watch hunting channels. That's all I watch. And I'm like, there's no way that that's really him. It's probably some AI or. So I'm like, okay, now I hate Zoom calls.
Mm-hmm.
I hate them. My lawyer wants to do them all the time. And I'm like, there's no reason for us to do a Zoom. We can talk on the phone or you can come.
Call me.
If you want to see me, come see me, So with them, I told my wife, and she was like, we'll do a Zoom with him because he wanted to talk on the phone. And I'm like, and she's like, you'll be able to see if it's really him. And I'm like, you're right. So I'm like, hey, do you do Zoom? And she's like, I can't believe you just wrote that. I'm like, I can't either. So I'm like, okay, so he does a Zoom. Or we scheduled a Zoom meeting. So we go in there and she's like, you've watched that show? And I'm like, yeah. So we Googled it because I wanted to know everybody that's been on that show. Because I'm like, I don't know who's in the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that it's the real people, So we Googled it and all. Then we had our meeting with them. And it was Chris and Joey, who are the main guys. And they're and so when we get in the Zoom meeting, I'm like, this is really them. This is hey guys, this is really you, And so we worked out some stuff. And there was like, we want your holsters because we absolutely love the idea. We love this. And we would love to partner with you. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that entails, So we end up working out some stuff and we have 2 commercials on every episode. It just started January 1st for season 5. And so, yeah, they, that hunting with soldiers I was talking about, that was one of their episodes. So I didn't know it was for their episode. It was for something completely different. And when I told them I wanted to donate to bino packs and stuff, well, then they found out about it and was like, hey, we need you to fly out here for this or fly out there to that. And I'm like, no, I don't want to I just want to give it to them. And they're like, no, you're a veteran. They're veterans. Like, we'd love for you to come out. So fly out to Texas for it. They did some ram hunts, but we give them one of our bino packs. And so I was on that episode, but that actual episode was 2 episodes. So there's 4 guys. So one episode was 2 of them hunting their rams, and the other episode is the other 2. Well, while I was there, I just give them their bino packs, and they had me talk about it a little bit, and I'm like, okay, cool. And they're like, well, you need to come on the hunts with us. And I'm like, okay, if there's room, like, I don't want to ruin their hunt.
Yeah.
And so on that episode, I'm doing a little bit of talking. Then the second episode, you see me from time to time, like wandering around aimlessly, you know. No, but like when they're getting their ram, you know, when they're making a stalk or something, like I'm usually in front of the camera guy or something, so I'm in it, not in front of, but like going with them. So then they all tagged out like on day 2 or 3, and so they were like, hey, when is your flight? So I'm like, well, because I fly from Provo, the flight going back was only on Monday mornings. So I'm like, I'm here tomorrow and then I leave Monday morning. And they're like, well, do you want to do a hunt? And I'm like, what? And they're like, an axis. And I'm like, well, I just got one in November. And I was like, take another one though. And they're like, okay, well, how about a black buck? And I'm like, yeah, 100%. I'm like, for what though? And they're like, for an episode. We have another episode that is available for this season. So I'm like, well, okay. So we did it. There's an episode of me hunting the black buck, and obviously a successful hunt. I didn't make a bad shot like with my axis. But it was different though. You know, you got a camera guy on you, and then a camera guy on the animal, and then you got a microphone. And
what's it like hunting like that? Is it harder?
Yeah. But for some reason, like, I think I was more nervous because I'm like, what if I miss now? You know, like, what if I like pull a trigger and it's unsafe, or I don't even have bullets, you know, like just every worst case scenario. But it was weird because like when it was my hunt, like, you know, they had me talk in front of the camera. It's like, hey, I'm Brian with, you know, Venandi Holsters, and that part I was kind of nervous of. But then when I was hunting, it was like I went in a different zone. You know, it was like I knew what I was doing, and like the nervousness kind of went away until after I took the shot. Then I'm like, now what? You know, like what I do with my hands, you know? Like, but
now you're a movie actor.
Yeah. But we had found them through glassing them up, and then we made a stalk on them, and it was really, and so in that episode you see me go to get down in the prone and then get back up because the camera guy that's filming the animal, he couldn't get the animal. The way it was, if he'd have walked up, it would have spooked. So I'm like, then it dawned on me like, oh, this is on film, you know, they're recording this. So I get back up, and then we, you know, it kind of cuts off, and we had gone a little ways, and then we had it was a perfect shot, perfect scenario. And my guide, he like put tripods up, and I'm like, nope, I'm going bipod. Like, I need to take out every chance of me messing up out of the equation, you know, and because tripods they're a whole different animal shooting from, you know, and I'm just more, obviously most people are more comfortable prone, you know, so I got down the prone, and it was a perfect shot. And then it was kind of funny because we got up to it, and I had never seen a black buck up close. Like, I'd seen them, but I don't know if it's an optical illusion because they're coloring. I thought they were the size of a whitetail. And we got up to it. They're like 65. I think mine weighed like 65 pounds. That's not even field like that's the size of them. And I'm like, did I just shoot a baby?
Yeah.
Like, the guide told me to shoot this one, you know, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm like looking, and they're like, this is a good one. I'm like, oh small. Well, then I make the comment, well, I could pick this up and put it on my back and carry it out. And they're like, there's no way. And I'm like, yeah, this is as much as like an elk leg, you know, like, and like, you really think you can? I'm like, yeah. So at the end of the episode, you see me carrying it out with it on my shoulders, like across my shoulders. So it was kind of a cool thing, you know, but yeah, but it was a super cool experience. And then when we did our watch party, because obviously they sent me the video prior to it airing, just to make sure that like I approved it, I guess, or was fine with them showing that. So I watched it. Of course, it didn't have commercials or anything at the time. I'm like, yeah, everything looks good, and then so I called them and like, hey, when can I show this? Because we had a bunch of people coming in the store. They knew I'd done it, and they wanted to know. I wanted to know when I could show it because we wanted to do like a watch party at the shop, and so they told me the date that it aired. So they're like, any time after that. So I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, why? And I'm like, oh, we're gonna do a watch party. Like, you are? And I'm like, yeah, y'all should come out to it. Just joking. Well, they ended up, they called me back like a couple hours later and was like, hey, we're coming out. And I'm like, what? So it turned into a huge thing. Like, it was just gonna be a watch party with like friends and like customers. So they ended up reaching out to all their sponsors. And so we had coolers we gave away. I mean, just Badlands donated a bunch of, like, I called them like, hey, this is blown up. Like, do you have anything you want to give? Like, I hate to ask, but I'm like, oh, 100%. So they donated like a pack and a bunch of stuff. And we had taxidermists donate like $500 off taxidermy. Um, the place in Texas where I shot the black buck, they donated like $500 off a hunt. The taxidermist out there I'm that's doing my black buck, they donated a full shoulder mount. So it's like, holy cow, this is just ridiculous, And so it turned out to be, it was huge, like way bigger than what we had planned, and it was a good time though.
I know. So, afterwards, when I called you, I was like, man, that sounded like an experience, especially with the projector going down.
Yeah.
The mute button.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So Chris, the guy from Trekking, that day he flew in and stayed with us. So that day we worked, but not really. So we completely cleared out the shop because we didn't know if like one person was going to show up or 1,000 people. Yeah. So there's a plumbing business next to ours, and they're like, dude, put whatever you want in our shop. And I'm like, can I use your forklift too? I'm like, yeah. So we picked up all the machines, benches, everything. We just picked up with the forklift and took them to theirs. So our shop had nothing in it. And we got a projector and stuff. So that day we played both episodes that we were going to show. No problems at all. Comes time to, everybody comes, we got food and drinks and, and all right, we're going to show an episode. And we sit down and start the episode and no volume at all. And we're like, okay, we just played this earlier. So we're trying to figure it out. And, people are like, friends are like, don't you have a TV show? Kind of teasing him, and then they're like, well, isn't this your shop? Isn't that your laptop? And I'm like, guys, so for like 5 minutes, we're trying to figure it out. And come to find out it was mute on the stupid computer, but we thought it was like a connection or, this, that, or the other. And yeah, so that's so aggravating, but it was all fun, and, but yeah, so it was good.
What a time, huh?
I know. Yeah.
Well, what's next for the shop? What's the plan? Growing, done growing?
Yeah, no, I don't think, at least I hope not. I don't think we're done growing. I think obviously that more and more people are starting to learn about us, and, just word of mouth has been our biggest thing. Like, I didn't want to put money into all this crazy stuff, and I'm a firm believer, like, if I build you a good product, you're going to tell your friend, or if your friend's out hunting with you, like, hey, where'd you get that? What do you think of it? And then you're going to tell him, then he's going to order one, and then he's going to tell his friends. And I love that, it's more personable, I guess, and so we've done that. So it's like, and now we're starting to get repeat customers like, hey, I got a new pistol and a bino pack, so I need a new holster completely, and it's like, okay, great, and so I hope not. I hope we're not done growing, because I hope that our name's still getting out there, and, and people understand that, hey, he's legit. Like, he's working for everything he's building, and that's what I love most about it. And I've got a really good team, my wife kind of runs the behind the scenes stuff. And then the guys in the shop, like the guy I was talking about earlier, does the working on the shoulder holster, Caden. I mean, he treats it like it's his business. And it's like, I love that, because I've seen him throw holsters away. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I wouldn't want it if it was mailed to me, 100%. And I agree with it. Yeah. Now, if he starts throwing like 10 away a day, like, hey, we got to revisit something, but I've seen him do that, or, or he'll still ask my opinion. Like, hey, what do you think of this? Or I'll ask him, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And I just love that. And then, we got a couple part-time guys, and, they're the same way, and I couldn't ask for a better team.
That's awesome.
Like right now, I know that they're what is making Venandi Holsters. It's not a one-man operation by any means, and even if it's just support, and we've got 2 stepdaughters, and and unfortunately they're not here. Like they decide to go off and do other
Go live
things.
their life.
Yeah. So my youngest Brooke, she was a part of the whole holster thing. Like when it was developing, she's actually in the Coast Guard. She just graduated in October, I believe. So she's newly into it. So she's stationed in San Diego. So we don't get to see her obviously, and as much as what we'd want. And she's not really a part of the business, I guess. Yeah. She is, I guess, mentally, but before she went off in the military, like she was constantly, my wife would laugh. She'd be out in the garage with me and learning how to rivet holsters, or, learning how to polish them, or, sand them and stuff. And who knows, one day she may come back and help. I don't know. Yeah. Or she may one day like, that's stupid. I don't want to, but I hope so. And then our oldest, Haley, she's in Lake Havasu, and I don't know the name of it. It's in the medical field, but she does MRIs of the heart.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think it, the names like the alphabet in a line, So, and she does that. And, she actually just graduated college last Friday, or when she truly walked. They only walked twice a year or whatever. So I can't remember if it was last week or week before, was like the first actual paycheck, because she's been doing her externship and stuff, non-paid. So she was pretty happy about that. Like,
see that real money.
Got her first paycheck. Yeah. Not robbing Peter to pay Paul, type stuff. But they're not really, I hate to say not a part of the business. They are, but they're just not physically a part of the business, I guess. And yeah, so Brooke today, I was telling her I was coming here for this, and she was like, "Are you going to mention me?" And I'm like, maybe I'll see if I can get you on the show, And so if you ever want to talk to a Coast Guard,
we'll send her on.
Yeah, we'll get her up here and come talk to you. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and you're expanding. You're trying to get like a range in there too, or find a place.
Everybody's got dreams, and I don't know if it's realistic dream or goal. But ideally, like our actual storefront is pretty small. We got this location because of the shop space. So I don't know if it's long-term or short-term goal, but it is to have a gun store with an indoor range, and then obviously a place to make the holsters too. So we'll see. Who knows what the future holds, And
sure.
So,
well, Brian, we've been talking for a long time. Before we close up, anything else you want to get off your chest, or anything I missed you want to mention?
No, just, I'm a true, I guess, story to never give up, no matter how hard, no matter, I mean, I had close family tell me like, you're wasting so much money on this, and even my oldest, she's never really been into the gun world, but she was like, "Are you sure that this is gonna, like, is this smart? Is this?" And because she knew how much time I was putting into it, and not saying she didn't support me, but it's like, looking back, it's like I had a lot of people like maybe not try and steer me a different way, but kind of tell me like, "Hey, you're doing so good with the police stuff, and just stick with that." And but just never give up, and there's so many ups and downs, especially with owning a business, especially with coming out with a product. I wish I could say there's a lot more ups than downs, but it's probably 50-50. You take 2 steps forward and 2 steps back, and then, but anybody out there that's thinking of doing it, just do it. I mean, obviously you got to be smart about it, but you never know if you don't try, and nothing in life is easy. And I tell myself that daily, like, if this whole business was given to me, I don't think I'd treasure it as much. I wouldn't have as much heart into it.
Yeah, 100%.
But being that I started from zero, like my first holster was made in a toaster oven, and like, but honestly it was, but it was like coming from that to where I'm at now, and just the struggles along the way, and the stuff that I bought that I thought I needed, and it's sitting on a bench still that I've never used since, because it didn't work, or it didn't, so just never give up.
Appreciate it. All right. Last question I always ask my guests.
Okay.
What's one piece of advice on success that you want to pass down to future generations?
I'd say probably just what I just hit on.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, it was the not give up. Like, always follow your dream, and be smart about it. But, just everything in life is difficult. Like there's nothing easy worth having.
Yeah.
And so I'd just say that.
All right, all right. Well, I really appreciate you being here. Let's get a plug in. Where can people find you, the business?
Yeah. So we have a website now.
Yeah.
And the people that visit our website a lot will notice a difference. But if you've never visited our website, you won't know if it's the new or the old one because it's the same website, VenandiHolsters.com. And then Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the same thing, Venandi Holsters. Follow us, give us a follow. Give the backstory room a follow, obviously, right? So yeah, that's how, and feel free to reach out to us, email, message us on social medias, call us, text us, whatever.
Okay. I'll put some links in the description for you.
Okay, perfect.
But Brian, appreciate you being on here,
I appreciate you.
All right, perfect. All right, bye everybody.